Go for the midnight dares. Go for the game. Go for the hits. Go for the fans. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
Friday, baby. TGIF. Welcome in. Gunner's off the hook already. The weekend is going to be off the hook. I even represent it with a little salty crew for you guys.
That's what I'm talking about.
I'm in the spirit, man. I'm trying to move myself from being a land lover, but he's Derek Gunn. He's Barrett Brooks. I'm Rob Ellis. You are in tune. You are ensconced. You are marinating in Sports Take, JAKIB Media YouTube Network. Now, you guys, it's going to be warm this weekend in the Philadelphia area for our friends who are from all over the country and the world, and we appreciate each and every one of you, by the way. But in the Philadelphia area, it's going to be warm. Are we headed out? What are we doing, guys? What are you guys doing? You fishing this weekend?
I wish I could, man, but I got the funeral today, so I'll do the funeral. Tomorrow on Saturday.
Yeah, sorry about your mother-in-law, by the way.
Yeah,
very sorry about that.
But Sunday, I don't know. I might have to go drown some worms, man.
Okay.
It's nothing like going out and fishing.
What about you, Gunner?
Well, let's see. We just got, I hate to use the term, just got rid of family from California.
You're Freudian slip there? Got rid?
The first wave left yesterday morning.
Okay.
It was 5 of them, and 5 more arrived last night.
Oh,
so
geez. Like a line change, man.
But yeah, so before the show, after we do 11 a.m. meeting every day, and after we did the meeting, I raced downstairs. I just marinated an entire big pan of chicken breast. Thighs with my Italian dressing, and I'm not telling everybody what else I do use with. So I'm going to grill that after I get off the show for them, because they're in touring Philly right now, and then they're going to come here. And tonight I got to marinate 3 slabs of D-Guns baby back ribs.
Dude, you're going to do that to us this early in the show?
Well,
you asked.
I'm gonna say, hey,
you asked.
Rob, unlike you, because you're a good guy with good morals. I'm going to invite myself. I'm just going to go down there and knock on the door.
Yep.
No, you did that one time. You do that again, you might get cut. You do that.
All right.
Yeah.
Threats of violence. All right. I like it.
So I'll smoke the ribs tomorrow morning, and they'll have a feast tomorrow afternoon. And
how long, Derek? Because people always ask me, because they see you post this stuff. How, like, for example, the ones that you're doing there, how long are they going to be?
So I have a big green egg. There's like 7 different sizes of the green egg. I have the 3rd largest green egg, which is 162 pounds.
All right.
So I have a rack.
How many pounds?
It's 100. The green egg is 162 pounds.
Man.
The biggest one, and we got to get him on here one of these days. Billy King. Remember Billy King?
Yeah.
Billy King has the biggest green egg, which is over 400 pounds.
We're gonna make that happen. Then.
Wow.
We'll get
So we got to get Billy King up. But yeah, mine is like 162 pounds. I have a rack. I can get 6 slabs of ribs in. I'm just doing 3. So 3 slabs of ribs when I do them low and slow. That's when you're doing ribs, one of the favorite terms is you got to do them low and slow. And so I'll take about 4 hours to do them the way I want to do them.
Okay.
And right before they're done, I'll lay them flat on the surface, and then I'll put my Sweet Baby Ray's barbecue sauce on it. And tomorrow's supposed to be 81 degrees.
Yes.
And so I told Trish, it's my wife's family, but my family too. And I said, hey, would you mind if I slip down the road about 3 miles and go to that beautiful 86-acre lake we have near our house? She goes, yeah, okay, go ahead. That's all I need to hear. Which means,
what time is this?
I ain't going. I can't go. She gave me the look. So,
you got the look first.
Like
so.
Okay.
I might go
if you want to.
Yeah, I might go to my private. I have some friends also have beautiful, 30-something acre property, and they got like a 4 or 5 acre bass lake on their property. We go to a lot. It's flat surface. It's a great fishing area in the treat area. Mm-hmm. So I might slip over there Sunday afternoon sometime. So
Sunday. So all right. So Sunday, I'm gonna come down Sunday then. So
come on down.
Right, I'm gonna come down Sunday.
All right.
There won't be any food left, but I'll just come down Sunday so I can just go fishing with him.
Don't cut him, Derek.
Here's what you need to know about Barrett, Rob, and you worked with him a number of years. If he tells you he'll be there at 1 o'clock, expect him to be there by 2:30. If he says 2:30, expect him to be there about 4.
That's why you got to tell him 10 a.m. That means he'll be there at 11. You're good.
Yes.
You got to learn these tricks.
Unless I'm told by Mrs. Ellis or Mrs. Gunn to be there at 1 o'clock, I'll be there. They tell me that I'll be there at 1 o'clock.
I got
you. But you two, y'all ain't got a snowball's chance.
So
snowball's chance.
I'm glad he brought that up because in 2019 or 2018, my brother decided he wanted to do a big birthday bash for me. So we went,
Mrs. Brooks checked in. Say good morning.
The fishing charter. We did a fishing charter down on the Chesapeake for striped bass. And so, Barrett was among the 10 of us who went, for my birthday. And it was pouring rain. You have options. You can either get the 6 a.m. to 1 p.m. charter or the 2 to 7 charter. So we did the 6 a.m. charter, which means I live an hour and a half from where we had to go. So we all got up at like 3:34 in the morning. It's pouring rain. I mean, monsoon raining, right? So we're trying to find a place. We found it. The only person who was running late was, and he kept saying, hey, you guys go ahead without me. I'm about 15 minutes away. And I'm like, no, man, we're not going to leave without you. And we're thinking, man, this charter may charge us extra. Luckily, they did. A great group of guys on the
we still talk to we still go out on charters with them.
We still talk to him. Yeah, JD and his dad. His dad, man, was something else, man. His dad, he started cranking the music on the charter, man. We had a dance contest on the charter, man. It was funny. That was a great time.
That's awesome. All right, so I got to ask you guys this. Did you see this Mike Tyson thing where he was on a plane and this guy was messing with him?
Yeah, I'm like, what?
Tyson's 55, and I'm sorry, man. I'm not messing with that dude. I don't care how old he is at this point. So this dude, I guess he was behind him, and at first he just wanted to talk to him, and then he wouldn't stop. And Tyson, by all accounts, Tyson was kind of like, listen, man, like we're done. Like, just leave it alone until we get off this flight. And he wouldn't stop. He eventually threw a water bottle at Tyson, and allegedly, again, who knows, Tyson clocked him. Like, to me, if first of all, how stupid can you be, number one, to be poking that tiger, right? Number one.
Right.
Number two, like, I'm sorry, man. I have no issue with Mike Tyson here. If you're telling the guy to stop, he throws something at you, you deserve whatever you get after that.
Now, this dude made a business decision, which was a bad business decision. I'm looking at the report on TMZ. It says Tyson repeatedly hit guy in the face, bloodies passenger on plane.
Yeah.
First of all, I've seen enough of Mike Tyson in recent years on talk shows. He did that exhibition fight with Roy Jones Jr. a couple of years ago. I've seen him, just standing there. This man is still built.
Yes.
He had one of the most devastating uppercuts in the history of pro boxing. His kidney punches would suck the soul out of you. And you stupid enough to mess with this man on an airplane? I think this guy's looking for just notoriety.
Well, and he's going to probably have a civil suit. He'll probably try and sue Tyson. But like, I hope there are witnesses on that plane that come to his defense, if in fact that's the way it played out, that this guy just kept messing with Tyson.
Let me tell you something, man. I wouldn't even want my own son to hit me in the solar plexus, man. My son's 30 years old. No. I can still take him, by the way, or at least he thinks I can still.
You got to make him think that.
I got to make him think that.
That's what you bully. You get the horns.
I don't even want my son to hit me in my solar plexus, let alone a former professional fighter, one of the greatest heavyweights of all time.
Nah, like I said, you deserve whatever you get.
It doesn't make sense, man. I mean, I understand, people, think that some celebrities like you two, that you can, that you're just owed an opportunity to be in their life at some times. You know what I'm saying? Uh-huh. You two think that. Me, I don't care, man. It's like, whatever, I don't mind that. But I mean, you're messing with a guy like Tyson. He got paid to beat people up. You know what I'm saying? I just got paid to knock people down. He got paid to beat people up, man.
Amen. Yeah.
Come on, dog. That's stupid, bro.
Well, look. The other thing that jumped at me that I saw last night, this morning, was: did you see the news that JJ Arcega-Whiteside, they're going to try to convert him now?
Hold on. Now, didn't I say that? Didn't I say that at the beginning of the week?
You did.
I said that at the beginning of the week.
Here's the thing, like, to an extent, I get it because he's a bigger receiver. Okay, right. And apparently he's turned himself into a decent blocker. Okay, but there's also a part of me that says, if you're trying this, is it just time to move on here? Is it time to admit the mistake that you made? Clearly taking this guy you think about it. He was the 57th overall pick in the 2019 draft. You want to hear his numbers? Listen to this, Barry. 16 catches, 290 yards and 1
Mhm.
touchdown in 3 seasons now. Come
Yep.
on, man.
That's a game. That's a game for most receivers, for
Yeah.
most big name receivers.
No, bro, I'm not even going to make a comparison to be somebody's game, or I'm just going to say, come on, man. It's just, you got to know when to say when. That's all it is. You got to know when. Just because he's a tight end does not mean that he's going to be a faster. He's going to be a faster tight end. He still can't catch. He still hasn't been able to catch. He's going to be a blocking tight end being that small. Come on, man.
I would imagine he grows into his body. He's going to have to add some weight. And, when you look at his frame, he has a very muscular frame.
He can do that.
I think he's going to add maybe enough pounds, get like to 230 maybe. And I don't think it's going to affect his speed or quickness. But I don't see any improvement in his hand.
Is he going to run better routes? Yeah. Is he going to, even against linebackers or safeties, is he going to be able to get open now where he couldn't get open before? Because it's not like he was the guy they were keying on anyway.
Right. So here's what I don't understand. Going back to something Barrett just said, you have to know when it's time to move on. Now go back. There was a kid named Jaquan Jerry. They drafted as a safety. And I remember people in the front office. He played for Temple. Mm-hmm. And I remember people in the front, D-Gun, did you see him hit? Did you see him hit? And I kept saying, I'm looking at his foot speed. I said, I thought maybe 4th or 5th round. They drafted this kid in the 2nd round.
Yeah.
And he lasted 2 seasons in Philadelphia. 2. And here we're approaching a 4th season for Umbrella Whiteside. Really?
Umbrella Whiteside.
I would have much more respect. This is where I think organizations get it wrong. I do. Look, you're always going to have whiffs. I have much more respect for you if you admit it and move on than compounding it by keeping a guy around like this. And, it's not like you're taking some crazy cap hit if you let him go. Like, it's just time to move on here. And maybe they're looking at it like Tyree Jackson, got hurt at the end of the year. He won't be back in the beginning of the season. We need an extra body there. I don't know. It feels to me like you're trying to still justify that pick.
I mean, remember when they tried to convert Tim Tebow to a tight end? He didn't make it out of training camp.
Urban Meyer.
Now, granted, Tebow had moved on to the booth for a few years.
Yeah.
To be an analyst, color analyst, and then try to come back as a tight end. And then you saw a video of him trying to block. Now, JJ is supposed to be an accomplished blocker, but if you're playing the tight end position, you got to be able to do more than just block now.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Nah, it's one of those head scratch. Go ahead, back.
I'm not even going to entertain it. I'm going to let you guys entertain that. I said at the beginning of this week, I said maybe they're moving him to tight end or something because, he's a bigger type receiver, but it still doesn't. He's a receiver that doesn't catch. He doesn't catch.
Exactly.
He doesn't catch. You're going to pay a guy for second contract money who can't catch. It just doesn't make sense to me. I gave the benefit of the doubt. All right, he became a really good blocking wide receiver, but you don't pay wide receivers to block. You don't pay him a contract to block.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You just don't do it.
See, Barrett has to be very guarded about what he says about the organization because he's still a part of the Eagles organization. So if you listen to Barrett, he's very politically correct about what he says about the organization.
That's why I can still walk in the locker room. A lot of people like Joe Santoliquito, he can't walk in the locker room anymore.
Yeah, but you know what though? Yeah, but you know what, man? And that's I'm glad you brought that name up. I'm so glad because what that man went through when he put that article out there, he had people death threatening him. Okay. Yep. And I sat back and Barrett and you and I talked about this, and I said, Barrett, he's not too far off from the truth.
Oh, no question. And we talk to the same people.
Yes. And he got lambasted. Okay. Yep. People trashed him, even people in the media on radio and TV trashed his article. And I said, and I talked to him, I said, Joe, if you believe what you wrote, truly stick to your guns because the truth will come out in the end. And sure enough, when the Eagles and Carson Wentz went their separate ways, all of a sudden these stories start coming out about Carson not being the consummate leader and being a negative instead of a positive in the locker room. And then all of a sudden, the next year, he goes to Indy. And what happens when he leaves Indy? Story came out of Indy about some of the same stuff that supposedly happened in Philadelphia. And so I remember talking to Joe shortly after that story came out in Indy, and Joe said, you know what? I just want to thank you and people like Barrett because you people stuck behind me when everybody else turned against me. And I said, Joe, it was your story. I wasn't going to add to it. I wasn't going to detract from it. But like I told you when you first came, stand your guns. If you write it, there are a lot of, and I hate to say this, but there are a lot of people in our profession, as you guys know, that do stuff for sensationalism, trying to get notoriety, trying to get clicks. Yep. But I knew what Joe was writing, there was some truth behind it because of people I talked to and people Barrett talked to.
Yep. We knew it. Me and D-Gun, and me and D-Gun talked about it amongst each other at the desk about who we talked to, how our interaction was with Carson and others on the team. And I mean, everything from Alshon, we talk to all these guys. We have a great relationship, dog. Like the reason why, D-Gun called Derek Barnett and all these guys, because we talk to them and chop it up like, we're at the barbershop. So when all this stuff was happening, every time something would come out, I look across the desk of D-Gun like, hey, is it? Yeah.
I would just go.
Well, it's funny. The day he wrote that, I talked to Joe. We communicated, and I had him on the radio when he was getting destroyed. Okay, destroyed by like you guys said, everybody, the media, the fans, you name it, right? Everybody's killing him. So I put him on because I know Joe to be a reputable guy, to be a guy who, like you said, Derek, isn't just doing this to get clicks, whatever, to try to hot take his way through this thing. And he kept saying to me, look, this is real. I'm getting this from legitimate. So, and I know the people he got it from, and I know the whatever. So they were real people. As time went on, and you guys are right, like this started to unfold almost in slow motion when it came to Wentz. And it got to the point where there were very established players in that locker room, some of which had to be separated from him, that knew that this guy, what the persona that you see in front of the camera isn't necessarily what's going on behind the scenes when it comes to Carson. When your owner, and I don't mean Jeffrey Lurie, I mean Jim Irsay last year, when your owner talks about you the way that he did, which hurt his trade value, he wasn't afraid to say, we got to get this dude out of here. You never hear that. You never hear a coach or an organization do it. When Irsay, and I know he's a bit of a loose cannon, but when Irsay said that, I thought to myself, this guy must be a disaster in the locker room. And Frank Reich's got to be regretting, going to the mat for him and
putting his name out there, putting his name behind him, man. You got to watch that. Carson, he wanted to portray the holier than thou type of guy. And I get it. You know what I'm saying? I'm very spiritually based. Even though Derek calls me the heathen, I'm very spiritually based. Everything that I do, there is
just because I saw your head spinning a few times. I mean, what do you expect me to say?
Projectile vomit.
I won't say anything, but now that you brought it up.
But you still, man, you still have to, I mean, people understand, Jesus didn't come for, the people already saved. He came to save sinners. You know what I'm saying? That's what his purpose was, to come down and make sure he can secure a relationship with our God, with our Father.
Preach it, brother. Preach it.
So when you're not doing that, you're doing the opposite of that. Instead of bringing in all the people that's doing bad, all the sinners, he was pushing everybody. He was ostracizing everybody. You got to be able to get along with the people if you're a leader. Whether you want it or not, you are a quarterback. You're the leader of the team. So you have to be able to talk, mix, and be around everybody, not just the offensive players, defensive players, coaching staff, everybody.
Or Barrett, not just the guys who wanted to go to the church group with you. There are other guys, and that's a huge piece of this thing is locker room presence. I'll tell you the other thing: stubborn as hell, man.
Yes,
coaches and teammates trying to help you, give you suggestion, constructive criticism, whatever. You got to be able to take that stuff in and listen to it, incorporate your game. Not, all right, I got this. And Carson's and I got this guy. And guess what? You're not as athletic as you were, dude. So you don't have it like you used to. You used to be able to be Houdini in the middle of a pile and get out of it. You can't do it anymore because of the injuries and because you're getting older.
Exactly. You got to be able to listen to people. I always listen. You know what I'm saying? I always take everything in.
What?
Bro, I always
what?
Listen.
What?
Come on now, man. Come on now.
Okay, I'll give you that. All right.
How many times have he'll say one thing. He don't say it over one time. He'll say one thing. Hey man, maybe you need to come in and a little earlier and look over your notes and stuff. He just put it out there like that. I'm like,
Rob, that's how we were trained, bro.
That's it.
You know,
You know what I'm saying? I'm like,
you got to prepare, man.
That's it, man. That's what it's all about.
so what did I start doing?
You started coming in earlier.
Right.
You know, you put the socket wrenches down when you were out there building your cars and stuff, and you came in earlier, man. Did your homework.
You got to slow down when you're reading the prompter.
Yep.
Slow down doing that. I mean, certain things that you have to listen to. All right, you're running the read option. You got to hold it a little longer and wait till that end commits before you pull it, Carson. Pull it. I'm taking it myself.
Even the most simple thing, like live to see another day, man. Throw it away. Just throw it away. It's all right. We can live with a punt. We can live with a 3rd and 7. But everything is it's like it's the last play of the game with no time left with him every single time.
Hey, when that story came out about Carson almost getting in a fight in the locker room with Darren Sproles, I would have paid money to see that. Can you imagine that? Carson is 6'5", 6'6". Darren Sproles is 5'6", soaking wet. Can you imagine that?
Yeah, on a step ladder. But I'll take Darren. I would have taken Darren Sproles all day, by the way, in that one.
He'd have beat the cotton out of his mouth, bro.
Mm-hmm.
I would have too. He'd have got up on that step ladder and wailed away at his waist.
Exactly.
Whoop, whoop,
Jump
whoop,
off that trampoline and land a couple of shots right after.
Man.
Yeah. No, there's no doubt. And look, that's the thing. And I think we were all fooled initially, right? And, and it's taken nothing away from the season that he had in 17. He was phenomenal until he got hurt. It's a shame. They don't win a Super Bowl without him. I firmly believe that because the home field advantage, et cetera. He did an amazing job, but something changed, man. And, you know, I don't think he was ever the same physically. And the other stuff just started to kind of grow. And I think he got a big head with the contract. I think maybe by the way, the organization kissed his rear end. I think all those kind of things played into it. And, you know, it got to the point where they had to think about the dead cap hit that they had to take just to unload him. Ooh. Same thing with the Colts that are going through right. Like Washington's such a disaster of an organization. They think they're going to transform this guy. They're not. They're not. It's going to be you're going to see flashes every once in a while, but it's ultimately, I don't think he can get out of his own way, man.
They tried to do it with that linebacker from Alabama who got in trouble. He got drafted in the 1st round.
Yeah.
Ferrari, they call it Ferrari, whatever his name is.
Was it Foster?
Yeah, Reuben Foster.
Yeah.
And I wanted Reuben Foster. I wanted the Eagles to pick him up in the
He
first
was a great
round.
player.
Yeah,
man. Great college player.
Great talent.
Great player. But he just couldn't get out of his own way. I heard he had to work out with Miami. But I don't think they have the same support system that the Eagles. Eagles can bring in wayward guys like that. They can come in because they have the foundation to work through those type of ordeals with people that have a checkered past. Like they could bring in a Michael Vick. They could bring in guys that, you know, didn't necessarily have their best resume, like a LeGarrette Blount on a team situation, you know, in team situations. They have that fundamental foundation that they could do it. Washington doesn't have that fundamental foundation. They've got a lunatic running the organization. You know what I'm saying?
And a bunch of yes men and women surrounding, like everybody. Yes, Mr. Snyder. Yes.
Yep. So I mean, he might not be the owner in the next couple of years, you know, anyways.
If this stuff, not to get too far in the weeds with this, but if this stuff comes out that they, you know, didn't report some of the finances, that's what'll get them out. All the moral stuff. We know the NFL looks the other way because they're hypocrites. They'll look the other way on that stuff. But when it comes to their pocketbook, forget it, man.
If that's the case, that's going to get him out of there. You know what I'm saying? That's
know how it is, man.
That's crazy that you're right. You're right on point with that because, you know, you can do everything you want to do. I mean, you can do whatever you want to do unless you mess with the money. When you mess with the money, oh no, we got to get him out of here.
Yep.
How much more can that organization endure? They've gone through the sexual harassment scandals. They've gone through the scandal of allegedly photographers being told to take pictures of cheerleaders when they were on location to take photo shoots for the team calendar and things like that. They changed the complexion. They got rid of the so-called cheerleading squad. They have more women in power in the front office now, trying to rectify some of the misgivings they've had in the past. And now this. How much more embarrassment can the Daniel Snyder endure? He's got one of the worst franchises in the league, by far from a media standpoint, the worst stadium in the NFL. And I know they're talking about building a new stadium down in Arlington, Virginia. But how much more embarrassment can this man endure?
They don't draw well, too.
No, they don't. No.
You forget the part that they got another team's head coach fired.
Yes. Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Gruden.
They got another coach's head coach fired over emails that he had with their head coach, who was their brother.
Yeah, I look. I keep getting back to if there's a trail to this thing, if there's a smoking gun with the money, that'll finally force Goodell's hand. Goodell covers everything up. None of this stuff got public other than Gruden. You think that's a coincidence? None of the Washington stuff came out. They were angry at Gruden, not to get into the whole Gruden thing here, but they were angry at Gruden for some of the stuff that he did, and he got his. Look, whatever. But
that tells
you're
you
telling me
something.
nothing came out on Washington from this thing?
What did they have, like over 65,000 emails they went through? And that's the only one that slipped through the cracks publicly?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, really?
It's the same thing.
Serious?
Like we could sit here, and I don't want to sound like some crying Eagles fan, but he covered up for the Patriots back in the day. I mean, there's no doubt he squashed that stuff. So this stuff happens a lot, unfortunately, with the league. It's such a money maker, and the owners love that Goodell just keeps lining their pockets, man. And Goodell's making, what's he making, 40-something million a year? So that's like that gravy train doesn't want to be stopped. He doesn't want to be stopped.
It's more than 40. It's more than 40. Plus, everybody's family gets lifetime health care. And we don't have
a private jet. And a private jet.
How's it work for a player, Barrett? Like for a guy who played as long as you do, how long? What do you get? Like they give you a few years when you retire?
When you retire, you get 5 years from the last time you get a check. You get 5 years. After that 5 years, you no longer get any medical. You know what I'm saying? Okay. They do have a fund where it'll reimburse you. Like if I go out and I might have a surgery, if I have a surgery and it costs me $50,000,
right?
I have to pay the $50,000 first before I can get reimbursed for it.
So you pay it out of pocket and then they cover you.
Right. Okay. But some players are messing that up.
Yeah.
Because Clinton Portis is going to jail for that now.
Right.
He went out and bought one of those hyperbaric chambers, and he had somebody make him a receipt for it, a doctor making a receipt for it, sent it in, got reimbursed the money, but never got the hyperbaric chamber.
No kidding.
So they messed up because all the receipts were like, receipts they got off, any site, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And got reimbursed for it. So I'm talking about like a lot of money, like several $100,000 worth of stuff that they got reimbursed with and didn't have the machines to do it.
Crazy. Hey, you know who else was a part of that? And it just blows me away because he's such a good guy. Remember Correll Buckhalter?
That's right.
Yeah. One of the guys.
Yeah, man.
Who also got caught up in that. And Corell is the most down-to-earth, nicest human being you ever wanted to meet in your life. And so when his name surfaced, it left me speechless, man, that he was a part of that as well. I'm like, wow.
Amazing.
There's like, what, 6, 7 ex-players that were involved in this?
And all I did, man, I got the reimbursement. I was like, man, should I get this reimbursement for them putting in a molar or something? You know what I'm saying? I'm thinking like, I don't want to mess with it at first, but I'm like, man, you know what? That's my money. I'm gonna go ahead and so now I send it in. Anything I pay now as far as medical, I send it in so I can get reimbursed for it. But those guys were getting over like a fat rat, man, having bogus receipts and them sending the money for it, man.
Hey, Rob, I just checked. Roger Goodell made $63.9 million last year, which included bonuses and stuff like that. Thanks in large part to the $100 billion 10-year contract agreement they signed with the players. So, man, dude, let me tell you, 63.9. So if a commissioner of a league is making almost $64 million a year, and he gets private jet, and he gets healthcare benefits for the rest of his life, it just plays to what I've been saying for years, that the NFL is the richest, most lucrative sports conglomerate on the planet.
Yeah, if you are not making insane money as an owner, you're doing it. It's almost foolproof. It really is at this point. All right, let's keep rolling with the football talk, guys, when we get back, because I want to dive into the draft. I want to get into two areas I think are major. I'm looking at the depth chart at corner and safety, and we touched on this a little bit earlier in the week. But let's get into some of the corner and safety options coming out in the draft. We'll do that 1 o'clock, by the way, in the 1 o'clock hour. We're going to be joined by James Palmer. James does a phenomenal job as a reporter for the NFL Network. He's also Scott Palmer's son. Scott Palmer, a legend in this town, a long time at Channel 6, works for the Phillies now.
Yep. I'm sorry, guy, but I just got to say this one more thing about this. We just got to talk about, bro. It wasn't until 2016 that the NFL paid taxes for the money they were making.
Jeez.
They were a tax exempt entity.
What?
73 years.
How's that possible?
Bro, I heard they were a not-for-profit, but they're for-profit, but you know, they got so many loopholes. But can you believe that?
No.
And that's one thing. One thing I know, I'm gonna die and I'm gonna pay taxes. And
that's
the NFL
it.
wouldn't even pay tax. Right?
There's two absolutes, man, for our lives.
Right.
And it's those two things.
Yeah.
Maybe not the NFL. That's for sure.
That
All
is
right.
crazy. Yeah.
Let's
But
get a
go
quick
ahead,
timeout. Well, no, it's all right. We'll come back. We'll keep rolling with the football talk, man. This is fun. I like to dive a little bit more into the draft. Like I said, James is coming up a little after 1 o'clock from the NFL Network. So we'll talk to James. He's covering the Eagles all week next week. So he'll be firmly ensconced, and he's been really, dialed in on the Eagles and what they may end up doing. So I want to get into that with James. We'll do the Sixers a little bit later. They're looking to get the broom out, do some chores on Saturday, take care of business against the Raptors. Philly's back at it. We do have a lot more in store. That's for sure. He's D Gunn. He's Barrett Brooks. I'm Rob Ellis. You're watching Sports Take, JAKIB Media YouTube Network. And let me tell you, we got the weekend coming up. The last thing you want to be dealing with is any kind of water or fire or smoke. We know that there's enough going on in your life right now. So I want to tell you about my friends at Pro Action Restoration. If you have a home or a business or a property, whatever, and you experience the pain and inconvenience of water, fire, smoke, mold damage to your property or your building, you know how trying that can be. Pro Action is on call 24/7. That's key. Something happens in the middle of the night, they're there 24/7. They're ready to assist. I experienced it. I went through it with my parents a few years back, and they were great. They came as soon as I called. I called them. They were there within the hour, and they came over and they cleaned up a pretty messy job for sure, did an unbelievable job. And when they left, the place looked better than it did before the water damage hit. That's for sure. Professional, clean, price, reasonable, you name it. They're licensed and bonded and fully insured. They've been serving the tri-state area for more than 2 decades. Pro Action will work in conjunction. This is also key with your insurance company. They're going to do the best they can to cover any kind of damage that you have, whether it's water, fire, smoke, mold remediation, you name it, they can handle it. Give them a call, 610-623-3760, 610-623-3760, or email them, proactionrestoration.com. That's proactionrestoration.com.
Go for the midnight dares. Go for the game. Go for the hits. Go for the fans. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
All right, did you know I was the mommy slam dunk champion?
Really?
Yes, really, don't sound so surprised.
Let's see it.
Oh, you're ready. All right, here we go. Let's hear the crowd. So go to right, go to left, fake a mom. Mama, go up, mama!
She did it.
Again?
You can't avoid gravity, but United Healthcare can help you avoid financial surprises by helping you compare costs and doctor quality ratings. United Healthcare.
Uh-huh.
On the field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
The following is a real testimonial from the father of a young injured victim.
I didn't think she was going to make it.
Major Perry's daughter was the victim of a horrific accident caused by someone else's negligence.
If you don't find the right counselor, law firm that you're looking for, you will get lost in the wilderness.
Badly injured? Call the Fritz and Bianculli Law Firm at 215-458-2222 and find out why they say, "We got this."
At Stateside Vodka, every new customer gets the world's best rocks glass, free.
You're telling me that bottle is cut in half?
You could say that.
Welcome back in, everybody. Sports Take. Hey, I need you all to slam and smash and destroy that like button. Let's go. Let's go. We don't have nearly enough people. Every single one of you. I see you. Easy Money. I see you, Gigi. I see you, Big D, OBX. Everybody. Jeremiah, Big D, John. Let's go. Easy Money. Bam. Slam it. Slam it. Slam it. D Gunn, Barrett Brooks, Rob Ellis, JAKIB Media YouTube Network. Each and every day, Monday through Friday, 12 to 3, started talking a lot of football. Figure keep the momentum rolling. Hey, by the way, just an NBA note. We'll talk Sixers in a little bit. Scotty Barnes still doubtful for that game for tomorrow in Toronto for the Raptors. Also, we'll give you the odds of the teams that are still standing to win the NBA title because they've changed quite a bit with some of the injuries. There's some major injuries in the NBA, man.
Oh, yeah.
With Chris Middleton, with Devin Booker. Yes. I mean, unbelievable, like big time impact kind of stuff for sure. So we'll get into that, man.
I'm looking at a comment here, man. People talking about, hey, Eagles trade for a quarterback. Trade what for who? What
for who for what, Ricky?
What do you trade what? I'm not trading draft commodity for what, a veteran? Well, who do you want? Russell Wilson gone. Aaron Rodgers back in Green Bay. Who are you gonna trade for?
Look, I'm with you, man. Do they mean trade up to try to get somebody they like, or do they mean somebody who's still? To me, like who's out there to grab right now in the league, who like currently playing? There's nobody. Look, I was
Chase Daniel.
I want to be his agent's brilliant, by the way. Chase Daniel. That dude's he's not quite made Sam Bradford money, but he's done pretty well for himself.
He's right there. He's right on the cusp. He was making $7 million a year here in Philly when he was a backup.
Yeah,
$7 million.
And Barrett, and to his credit, it's the greatest gig ever. If you get behind durable quarterbacks and you never have to go into games, you can make a ton of money and you walk away from your career without a nick on your body, without a bruise or a cut. It's brilliant, man. God bless you if you can pull it off. No question.
That is the cussest job ever. Like my last 4 years, I backed up, so I really didn't play on Sunday, and I was pissed off because I did everything through the week.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying, on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. I was still banging and practicing hard. But quarterbacks, they got a red jersey on. All they're doing is throwing the ball every once. And then when you're a backup, you don't throw the ball nearly enough. You're just taking those mental reps from behind, the mental reps. I mean, is that the biggest hustle ever? That
think about it.
Biggest hustle ever.
And Doug Peterson is one of them. But if you backed up Favre for 7 or Peyton Manning before the neck in, those guys never missed a game. Breeze for a long time, never missed a game. If you were the backup to any, and Chase Daniel was with Breeze at one point, I mean, it's the greatest job there is.
Oh my goodness! You know, when you're talking about Chase Daniel and how he's been stealing money forever, you know what the first name that comes to mind? Think about Ty Detmer, Ty and Coy Detmer. How long did they take the league for money, man? I mean, how many years? And I'm thinking, and neither one of them were what you could consider a quarterback size. They were skinny guys,
little,
little guys. And I'm thinking, man, they made a killing off of being back.
I give Ty more love than Coy. Ty, at least for a little while, was kind of a starter, but Coy.
Coy whipped out the big stick, though.
Yeah, he did. That Green Bay game.
Yeah, man. Yeah. And then Aaron Rodgers gave it right. No, Brett Favre gave it right back to him.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So, all right. I wanted to hit you guys this because I was looking at the Eagles depth chart today, and I wanted to refresh my memory on a couple positions. First of all, they are a very thin team, man. There is not a lot of depth in a lot of spots. But I'm looking at the defensive backfield, okay? So for right now, as things stand before the draft, you're starting corners. Slay, okay. Maddox in the slot, good. Zach McPherson?
No.
Your safeties are Marcus Epps and Anthony Harris.
No.
I don't think we talk enough about how bad the defensive backfield is here, guys. I mean, we're focused on a lot of things, and rightfully so. You got to be able to get to the quarterback. I get it. You need playmakers at receiver. I get it. You need linebackers. We've been screaming for that forever. But you guys feel good about what's happening with the defensive backfield?
What?
Go, Mr.
Are you
Brooks.
kidding me? I mean, we're talking about way back when we had Sports for a defensive coordinator. I've hated the DBs. You know what I mean? And it wasn't as though they were really bad. They just didn't use them. Like, look, Rasul Douglas had some skills, and he's balling in Green Bay.
Yeah.
You look at the Green Goblin. He had some skills also. The only reason he didn't get drafted in like the second or third round is because he had troubles back at LSU. You know what I'm saying? Where he got in some trouble. They've had quality guys there. Sidney Jones just didn't do anything here, but he's balling where he is now
in Seattle.
They just don't have it was coaching, I guess, but they just never really panned out or had all right, let me change that around. We never had a defensive coordinator to use them the way they need to be used the past 2.5 coaches. Put it like that. Those guys didn't play up to the capabilities. They had Bradley. Bradley was the defensive coordinator. He never played those guys, and they were pretty good cornerbacks. You know, even when they were talking about sconces and stuff like that, they were still very feasible starting quarterbacks. Cornerbacks. They just never used them in the capacity they needed to use them in. Every time we get a defensive coordinator the past couple of years, there have been guys that played off and played too much zone. You can't do that in today's league. You give these quarterbacks an inch, they're going to take a mile, and that's what's going on. They're just not aggressive play callers, and I don't know. McPherson may be okay. If they play him in a system that's more aggressive, maybe he can use that size. Maybe he can run with some guys. But we'll never know because we don't run a system that have these guys play in one of those, all right, I'm going to get in your face and be one of those, shut down type of guys. We don't know if they can shut down because we don't use them that way.
Look, all you need to know is go back to last season when they had Steve Nelson?
Right. Yeah.
Rodney McLeod, Anthony Harris,
and
Darius Slay.
Yeah.
What happened when they played the better offenses in the National Football League?
Killed.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now Rodney McLeod's in Indianapolis. Where's Ronald Darby in Denver? Is he in Denver?
He's still playing. Okay. Yeah, he's still.
They're starting balling.
Yeah. Where's Steve Nelson now? Didn't he sign with somebody else?
Was he signed with Indy or was it Texas?
The Texans.
Okay, in Texas. So
2 years, $10 million.
So as much as we're happy to have Reddick here, my priority would have been trying to shore up the back end of that defense, because if your front end's tight and your back end's tight, you can cover up many of the deficiencies you might have at the linebacking situation. But now you still have a glaring hole at linebacker, and you got some serious problems on the back end, because I love Maddox. Don't get me wrong. I love Maddox. I mean, he sticks his nose in there. He's a sure tackler if he gets his hands on you, but he's undersized. Darius Slay is what he is. You don't have enough depth. I mean, and not just starters. You don't have a rotation. If somebody goes down, who's the next guy up? Marcus Epps?
Right. No, I mean, right now he's your starting strong safety.
Oh, no. So
right now he is.
You got a problem. And even if you take your first pick, even if you take that first pick and draft a cornerback, I don't care how good he is, he still has a learning curve. He's got to get through half the games, not OTAs, not mini camps, not training camp. You still have to get through at least half the game action before you get to that comfortable level. So you're still going to be at a deficiency, at least for the first half of the season.
Well, all right. It's now Marcus Epps isn't starting right now. Kayvon Wallace is, the kid from Clemson.
Maybe. Am I supposed to feel better now?
I just want to take that and give you a little bit of. No, I'm just playing. But no, you're right, man. You got Zach McPherson, 4th rounder. Maybe he can play. We'll never know if we don't put him in a situation where he can show what he can do. If you want to be competitive, you got to go out there and pay to be competitive these days. You can't just, think that your guys are going to go out there and make an instant impact when you don't have a defense that allows you to do that. I don't know. Darius Slay, I know that Slay can play. But after that, I mean, I'm going to give Maddox some credit also. Maddox played well.
I think he's excellent in the slot.
Yeah,
I feel good about those two. I'm not worried about those two.
But then after that, Anthony Harris, all right, he didn't underwhelm me, but he wasn't overly somebody that all right, he's great back there.
I think he's a guy. I think he's a guy, Barrett. That's what he is.
He played very consistently, and when you don't call his name, because usually when you call a guy's name at the safety position, they're either doing wrong, especially at free safety. They're either doing wrong, they're getting beat, or they're not coming up and tackling. So evidently he's feasible back there, and he plays well enough that you don't hear his name. Slay balled out last year. He showed he can play. Mattis balled out last year. He showed he can play. McPherson, towards the end of the year, he did show me a little bit, especially against Dallas. He went out there man-to-man, CeeDee Lamb, and I thought he did pretty well. He handled himself pretty well. After that, it's just guys. Joshua Scott, we got him from Jacksonville. He didn't play any. He played just a little bit of special teams. Marcus Epps came in and filled in, was consistent.
Okay.
Consistently what?
I just said consistent. I didn't say he was consistently good. Consistently bad.
Okay. All right.
He was out there.
But Barrett, all these names you're throwing out, and granted, some of these are really young kids, but they're mostly depth guys. They shouldn't be starters. They shouldn't be on the front line here.
Yes, and that's the problem, because we don't have really a guy to come in there and be a true starter. And we're not going to get a guy to come and play a true starter unless we get him in the draft, number one. No, we can't even say get him in the draft because Zach McPherson, we got him in the draft.
Texas Tech.
And you got all these people out there screaming about get Honey Badger, get Tyrann Mathieu in here. And there's a reason he's still out on the open market. See, because Tyrann's been in the league long enough to know the longer you're out in the open market, the more your potential earning whittles, okay? So why hasn't a team jumped on Tyrann Mathieu? I think because of two things. Age, number one, and number two, you don't know how long you're going to have him on the field.
Yep.
He's a good player. Don't get me wrong. He's a good player. But what did they say? You can't make the club in the tub.
Right, right.
And he's been injured. I mean, he plays with reckless abandon. The reason he's hurt all the time is because he hits so hard and he plays with reckless abandon.
Yeah.
But I love his game. I got a lot of respect for his game, mad respect for his game. But he's not doing me any good if he's on IR.
He's one of those guys. Yeah, he's a double-edged sword, man.
Yeah.
He cuts you both ways. He cuts you when you're out there on the field and making plays, but he'll cut you when he's in the tub also.
But do you think that's the objective, guys? Like even maybe, well, I think now it's definitely going to be after the draft. See, depending on what they do, then maybe they pony up for Honey Badger if they don't go hard on a safety here.
Oh, my fault. I said Joshua. It's Josiah.
Josiah. Yeah, Josiah.
Let me put it like this. He won't get on the field, so it doesn't matter what I call him. He won't come anyways. So put it like
Jay Scott.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? But hey, whatever it is, but I don't care about that, bro.
Yeah, I think to answer your question, Rob, I think once the Eagles, like every other team, get through the draft and see what they have and don't have, I think that's when players like, the Honey Badger become commodities or become more wanted because teams are also saying we can drive the price down. How bad do you want to play? There was a time when you were making big money, but you're on the outside, you're looking in now. How bad do you want to play?
He's doing that though.
Huh?
No, I don't believe that's the case, D-Gun.
You think there's a team that's going to give him big money he would have got like in the first week of free agency?
I think that he's been offered big money. He's just choosing not to go to those organizations.
I think he might have been shocked at the money he wasn't offered. Now, I'm not saying he was. I'll agree with you. Yeah. I'll agree with you and say he may have been offered a decent contract, and he's probably thinking, I could get more. Now he's got to realize, I may have hurt myself financially at this stage of my career because who knows? This could be his last go-around. You don't know.
But the other thing that's interesting with him is there's a lot of talk. He's LSU kid and from that area. You want to go to that Saints team's going to stink. They're going to be bad, man. And now, look, if you just want the comforts of home and all that, okay, fine, whatever. But you're probably closing out your career on a bad team. He's also going to keep that in mind. What exactly is the priority there? Is it getting paid? Is it comfort level with home? Is it the chance to win a championship? Like, obviously, he would have a good chance with the Chiefs, right? And maybe the Chiefs just said, time to move on, which should be a bit of a red flag anyway. But I feel like the Eagles view it and how he views it as, hey, nobody else is really knocking down his door real hard, or at least he wasn't interested in those teams. Go wait this thing out, man, and just get it down. And it just feels that way to me.
Well, that same thing happened to Nelson last year, right?
Yeah, exactly. They got him on a very cheap deal.
Yep, they got
a 1-year deal.
Same way.
Yeah,
that's what I mean. He was a starter in Pittsburgh. All of a sudden, he thought he was going to get more. He wanted to stay relevant. You want to stay in the league? take what you can get on 1 year. Now he's down in Houston now, so basically he went from a mediocre team to the cesspool of the NFL right now, one of the cesspools of the NFL in Houston. But you want to stay relevant in the game, you got to suck up your pride and take what you're offered at that stage because you didn't get what you want.
Yeah. And what a weird situation too. Like Houston, they blow out David Culley, who I thought, considering what a mess the whole thing was and what a circus it was with Deshaun Watson, did a pretty good job. And they bring in Lovie Smith, who was the coordinator. They elevate Lovie Smith. Like I thought David Culley really got screwed.
I agree.
In Houston.
And I know David, and he's a good man. He's a good football man, knowledgeable football man. He was put in a bad situation to start.
Yep.
And the fact that he was only given 1 year, if I'm a coach, a potential coach, and I understand, there's only 32 jobs at whatever position you're coaching at. There's only 32 of those jobs in the NFL. But I would not look at Houston as an option to build my resume, because if that's how you're going to treat people, especially good people, good quality people, people like David Culley have been into football for decades and been in football for decades because, number one, they're good at what they do, teach young people, and sustainability. And when you dump on a guy like that after 1 year, he's your scapegoat after that mess you gave him. You traded away all your marquee players, and you put him in a cesspool like that, and you only gave him 1 year. If I'm another coach looking, I'm like, okay, there's instead of 32, there's 31 teams that I'm looking at instead of 32. Because that team, I want nothing to do with that team if that's how they treat your players.
Let me throw some of these names at you guys and tell me who you like, who you don't like here coming out. Let's start with corner. Sauce Gardner.
The best corner.
Your best corner. How about this, Barrett? 6'3", 190. That's got Bobby Taylor kind of size.
I love it.
Yep. Very comparable game as Bobby. I think he's a little faster than Bobby.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Any shot, he's in the neighborhood when the Eagles are picking.
Not a snowball's chance.
Fair enough. Yeah. Derek Stingley had some injury issues. Liz Frank among them at LSU didn't run a crazy great 40 time, which turns some people off. I think he's got insane talent. The
number 2 corner in this year's draft. Not a snowball's chance in Texas either.
Okay.
I think when you look at both of those corners, because I think they could go either way. Stingley could go one, depending. It's going to come down to what does a team need. Coach Barrett knows this. I mean, we look at these draft boards and how they slot them. He's the top corner. He's this corner. And all of a sudden, you see it flip flop. This one goes here. The reason being, coaching staffs look at what they want in a certain player: height, strength, speed, quickness, lateral pursuit, press coverage, so on and so forth. And one coach likes certain attributes about a player that another coach goes, that's okay. I love all these things about him, but he's missing this, so let's go this way. But those 2 corners, I'd be shocked if they're still on the board when the Eagles pick.
Okay.
I can almost guarantee they won't.
Yeah.
But Sauce Gardner's to me, he's a just like you said, like a Bobby Taylor, but more so like a Ike Taylor's 3rd year in the league.
Pittsburgh,
more refined Ike Taylor.
Okay. I'll take either one of those 2 Taylor comps. They're both good right there. All right. Andrew Booth out of Clemson. He doesn't quite have the same size as those guys, but played obviously in a big time program and was a really good player.
He is my sleeper pick.
Yeah.
He is the guy to come in and be a day one starter. I love his enthusiasm, the way he plays the game. Very energetic. He's gonna tell you about it, why he's out there D'ing you up. He can play man to man. I mean, he's a better man to man, but he can also play zone. Come up and hit you on a run. He'll fill. He's probably a day one starter and wherever he goes. He's that good. I love the way he plays. I love his enthusiasm, the way he plays the game. He will be a great addition to wherever team he's in, because he's gonna come in and if not compete, more so than win the number 1 job.
Is he there? Is he there at 15? B?
Yes.
Or is he okay? You can get him there.
Yep. Yes.
Okay.
The thing is, too, when you talk about a kid like Andrew Booth, if you are a starter on a Clemson defense, you better be almost pro ready, because you look at Clemson's defenses through the years, over the last 5-6 years. Man, it's a rugged defense, man. Those boys are physical on that side of the ball. And so he has that physicality mentality. He plays in a great program that turns out great athletes, especially on defense.
Yep.
And I agree with Barrett. I think he'll be in that 15, 18, 19 slot if the Eagles decide he's their choice at that position.
All right, 2 more names I'll throw at you guys, and I want to jump to safety. And by the way, coming up in the 1 o'clock hour, James Palmer is going to be joining us from the NFL Network. All right, Trent McDuffie, the kid out of Washington. Again, not as big, but he can run, man.
He can run, but I think he's a little too stubby.
Okay.
He's not as physical. He's used to running. He's used to running and shadowing guys. He's not going to come in and be a shutdown corner, but he'll shadow everybody. He's not going to have a lot of big plays on him. He can he'll come in, he'll compete, but I just don't think his arms are long enough that he could handle, the physicality of playing like against Dallas, with CeeDee Lamb and those guys. He'll play off of them. You're not going to run past him. He'll be there to make the play. He'll make the tackle, but I don't think he's going to go up and make a lot of plays, big plays, and knocking the ball down or anything like that. But he's not going to get beat deep. He's not going to get beat a lot of the times. He's going to be right there, tit for tat with whoever he's playing against. But to me, he's just not one of those cornerbacks, as you would say, all right, I'm going to draft you in the first and you're going to be a day one starter.
All right, one more. Roger McCreary, the kid out of Auburn. I'm just giving you some select guys that I like, but there's, I'm sure, a lot of others that may be there later too. But McCreary, you guys, any interest in him? Like him at all?
I do like him, but I don't like him as a first round.
Okay, later.
Yeah, he's a second. Yep.
All right, let's go safety then. You want to go safety, Gunner? Let's jump over to safety.
Just real quick, when you talk about McDuffie, I think of Sidney Jones.
Okay.
I think of Sidney Jones. First of all, anybody coming out of Washington, I'm a little suspect of him.
Yeah.
To begin
I hear you, man. I'm the same way.
If it's not Buda Baker, I don't want him.
No, but they, for every one they get it right out of Washington, there's 10 more that you go, dang it, why did I make that pick? So
well, I hear you with that. All right, so safety, the obviously the most touted guy is Kyle Hamilton, and I don't think he's going to be there at 15, even though that I think that position is devalued a little bit in the draft. I don't think he's going to be there. Would they? He's sitting there maybe at 12. Would they try and make him 12? Move?
And I'm thinking hard and long and say yes because I love Harrison Smith. Harrison Smith has been in the league 10, 12 years, and he's been one of the most reliable safeties in the league. You need a big play, he's going to get it to you. A Notre Dame guy. I like the way he plays the game. Now he ran a 4.5 40. There are defensive linemen running 4.5 40 these days.
Yep.
But you can't. I mean, you got to pass the eye test. On the field, what he does, you just can't ignore that. He might have had a bad day. He may have ate some bad pizza or something the day before. He just wasn't feeling right when he ran the 40. That might be the case. He plays faster than 4.5, and it's going to drop him, but it might be right there to make him obtainable for the Eagles to draft him.
Okay. All right. Daxton Hill, the kid out of Michigan, who a lot of people – by the way, Hamilton's 6'4", 220, just to put in perspective. He is a big cat. Daxton Hill out of Michigan, he's a 6-footer again. You got Lewis Sign, the kid out of Georgia, who we touched on yesterday. He's bigger, 6'2", 200. And then you got Jaquan Brisker, kid out of Penn State, who a lot of people in this area like a lot. He's got decent size, too. He's 6'1", 199. Any of those names do anything for you guys?
Yes,
Lewis,
yes.
Lewis Sign, who did he play for?
Yeah,
Georgia.
There you go. What I tell you?
Get them
I
dogs.
don't care if it's a punter. I'm drafting the punter out of Georgia. I don't care. They play for Georgia. He's on my football team.
Especially on the defensive side.
Yes.
All right.
And you look at the wealth of talent that team had.
Woof.
I'm telling you. I think this year's Georgia team is similar to that Clemson team when they had 3 defensive linemen drafted in the first round.
Yeah.
I think Georgia's team at the D-line, linebacker, back end have some quality talent across the board. Mm-hmm. If you wore the Georgia logo on your helmet, there's a possibility I could be picking you.
All right, how about you?
Come on, man. Scene is probably he's probably the second or third best safe. No, he'll be the second best safety in this draft. Like you said, sometimes you look at a guy playing in the defense like that, and those guys up front just make things too easy for you. You know what I'm saying? You're going to be a baller playing, when you got guys rushing the pass like he has up front.
Right.
So, but a safety nobody's really talking about and that I really, really enjoy watching is Jalen was it Petrie from Baylor.
From Baylor. Yeah.
The kid played outside linebacker. He played safety. He played a little corner. He could play anywhere. I think he's like a hybrid mixture of Malcolm Jenkins and Jalen what's his name? The Green Goblin.
Yeah.
From here.
Mills.
Jalen Mills. He's that type of player, man. He's gonna come up, he's gonna fill on a run. He can cover in the slot receivers. He can also cover tight ends and running backs out in the backfield. He is a prototypical box safety that does everything and will be around the ball. He's another sleeper at the safety position. You could probably pick him up in the second round or maybe even the third round. But I love the way that kid plays.
Okay. All right. Anybody else jump out of you?
Let me see. There was one more kid that I liked. Nick Cross from Maryland. We're talking about a free safety. Now, this guy's a single high safety and has speed for days, has the size you want from a safety. He's going to be an imposing type of safety, has the gun show and all that, but he runs like a 4-3 playing the safety position. You put him back there, you ain't got to worry about anybody beating him deep. But once, he gets a track on the ball, he's going to go get it or he's going to knock you out. So Nick Cross is a guy that a lot of people are talking about who's moving up the draft board.
Okay. All right. Let's do this. Get a timeout. Come back. We're going to keep the football talk rolling. James Palmer from the NFL Network is going to join us. He's going to be stationed in Philly next week, concentrating on the Birds. We'll talk to him about what he's hearing around the league, what he's hearing for the Eagles. A little later in the show, guys, we're going to run through the top order here. The 1 through 14 leading up to the Birds. See who we think Jacksonville, Detroit, Houston, whatever, the Jets, who they may end up taking and who could still be there for the Eagles. We are Sports Take. You're watching us on JAKIB Media YouTube Network.
Go for the midnight dares. Go for the game. Go for the hits. Go for the fans. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
All right, did you know I was the mommy slam dunk champion?
Really?
Yes, really don't sound so surprised.
Let's see it.
Oh, you're ready. All right, here we go. Let's hear the crowd. So go to right, go to left, fake them out. Mama, go up, mama!
She did it.
Again?
You can't avoid gravity, but United Healthcare can help you avoid financial surprises by helping you compare costs and doctor quality ratings. United Healthcare.
Uh-huh.
On the field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
The following is a real testimonial from the father of a young injured victim.
I didn't think she was going to make it.
Major Perry's daughter was the victim of a horrific accident caused by someone else's negligence.
If you don't find the right counselor, law firm that you're looking for, you will get lost in the wilderness.
Badly injured? Call the Fritz and Bianculli Law Firm at 215-458-2222 and find out why they say, "We got this."
At Stateside Vodka, every new customer gets the world's best rocks glass, free.
You're telling me that bottle is cut in half?
You could say that.
Yeah, Yeah, baby. 1 o'clock hour. Welcome back in, everybody. I'm Rob Ellis, along with Derek Gunn and Barrett Brooks. We are Sports Take. Tell a friend. Let everybody know, man. We are going to be with you each and every Monday through Friday, 12 to 3, right here, JAKIB Media YouTube Network. Again, let's hit those likes, man. Let's slam those likes out. Let's get as many eyeballs on this show as possible. We'll be joined a little bit, guys, by James Palmer from the NFL Network. It's crazy, man. You guys know this. So James is doing a lot of stuff for the NFL Network today, right? And he's working us in between hits. So, they're going to him live. He's doing his thing kind of back and forth. The second he gets off, he's going to jump on with us. Then he's got to jump right back on. So we're in that. We're like that Oreo cookie, man. We're the sandwich. We're the cream in between.
There
so
we go.
He's going to get to us when he can. So we appreciate his effort for sure. We talked a lot of football in the first hour. I mentioned a little bit later. We'll get into the Sixers. We'll get into Jay Wright. Guys, Jay Wright today was pretty interesting, and we'll again delve more into this in a bit. But he said basically he knew during the season that he was done. He got to a point where it was never hard for him to ratchet it up and go 100%. He said he was fighting himself. Like, come on, man, I'm at 70. I got to get this thing up. I'm asking my players to give 100. I got to get this thing up to 100. And he said he knew at the end of the regular season that he was going to give everything he had for the tournament run and the Big East and all that. But he was done after that. That's pretty fascinating stuff.
Yeah, it is. Especially when it's that time for you to hang it up. Like I could kind of tell the year before the Super Bowl, I was thinking, man, it just ain't the same anymore. Not that it wasn't the same anymore as far as my love for the game and wanting to play the game.
Mm-hmm.
But when I used to see like MEB blitzes coming or I see a safety rolling over, and I know exactly what's going to happen on the play. That safety's going to roll over, that linebacker's going to fly outside, the end is going to pinch down, and I'm going to punch the defensive end and go out and drop back and get that linebacker pulling around. And then I turn around like, all right, I went back, punched the defensive end, and say, here, I'm trying to get out there. Oh, the body just not getting out there to get that linebacker. It's just not getting. I'm trying my best. I know where I got to be at, but I just can't get there. And once I start seeing that happen, I'm like, man, maybe it's time for me to hang him up. But then I go back and play one more year. I say, you know what? Because my kids wanted me to play. Like, oh, Dad, just play one more year.
Right.
You're starting to really get into football. My son, I'm taking my son to practice. He's loving it. Troy Polamalu and Casey Hampton are taking him and dumping him in the cold whirlpool and then the hot whirlpool and dumping the cold whirlpool. And he's just loving it, you know what I'm saying? Getting tortured, they're steady doing it, you know what I mean? And that's why I played another year, and it just so happened I won a Super Bowl. Then I got greedy and said, you know what, I'm just going to play one more, and went into training camp, got through training camp, the last game of a preseason. I go out there, and they told me, hey, you ain't got to play. You made the team. You ain't got to play. I was like, all right, I'm still going to play. I'm going to help out. I'm going to go out there and play. I go in there and play the second half, the second quarter in the first half, and that's when I got injured. I ripped my quad muscle from my kneecap. You just know. You just realize when you start seeing stuff, and I know exactly what to do, and I'm going to do it. And it got to a point I'm telling, hey, Chris, pop up, get that safety over there instead of me going over there and getting them. I say, yeah, it's almost time for me to hang these things up.
Well, and that's the hard thing, right? Because look, who am I to sit there and say you shouldn't milk every single last drop out of this thing from a financial standpoint?
I was going to do it,
Right? No, I'm saying I'm with you, man. Like I would never tell a guy get out. Honest to God, like if you could continue to get those big checks and do something that you love. There are a lot of guys, school of thought is do it till the very, like Jay Wright could have continued collecting a monster check, man, but he just said to himself, it's time to move on. Mike Schmidt did that back in the day. If I can't play to the level I'm accustomed to, I'm out. It doesn't matter.
You know how rare that is for a coach who has spent the bulk of his life being in competitive mode to come to a realization during the season when you're still trying to jockey for the top spot in your conference, win a conference tournament, go as far as you can in the big show, to come to the realization that I've reached the end of my line. We hear coaches and even players basically say what Barrett has said time and time again, that it's a struggle. It's a mental struggle because this is what I sacrificed my life to do. Mm-hmm. And now I'm coming to the end of the road. And you try to get as much out of it as you can. Many try to squeeze an extra year or two, knowing that they're not the same player or the same coach as they were. If Jay Wright was a coach who was at a program that had minimal success, like every other year, every 2 to 3 years, I can understand him, number one, not wanting to move his family, and number two, not wanting to start all over again in another environment.
Right.
But Jay Wright had a great measure of success at the same program. He called his own shots. And you're right, he still could have been there for as long as he wanted beyond that. So for him to come to the realization that, you know what, it's time for me to step aside and enjoy life that doesn't require me being on somebody else's schedule, man, not many get to do that, in the professional sports.
You could, but you just choose not to. You just love talking.
I could.
Yeah.
The reason I'm working now is because I need every penny I can get.
I thought it was because you loved Barrett and I. No, that was a lie.
That's what I thought.
Let me rephrase that.
All right.
Number one is because I need to work, and number two, because I love Barrett Brooks.
I see a lot of potential.
Right.
Now, will those two gaps close?
Get the wading boots out.
Will those two gaps close? That remains to be seen. But I love you two like stepbrothers.
Think about this, right? Not all you're in any sport, you're hired to be fired.
Right,
as a coach or a player, a lot of times. Not only did this guy go out on his own terms that way, now he's going to call a shot in TV with whatever gig he wants.
Yep.
Like this is a rare feat that Jay Wright has pulled off.
Yep. And he'll get 7 figures to sit and analyze games
and not have the aggravation.
Yes, and not dissecting plays.
Amen.
Man.
Oh man. Oh, unbelievable. All right, so joining us, look who it is. This is an honor. It's a pleasure, man. Oh, there he is. The man himself looks sharp too, man. He's coming clean on today's Sports Take.
Making us look bad.
That's right. We're in t-shirts like bums. James is bringing the pain, man. What's up, James Palmer?
What's up, guys? I wish I was rocking what you're rocking. I just got done a TV hit on NFL Network. We got some time here before we get talking Colts. I think I have coming up in about an hour. Just got done breaking down Andrew Berry and Baker Mayfield. What's the latest on his trade market, which is non-existent right now.
Right.
There is zero interest, and right now, to my understanding, 0 offers. So we'll see what happens at picks. I think 6 and 9 are what they're keeping their eye on, Carolina and Seattle. And they don't go quarterback, they'll pick up the phone and ask. But I don't think those teams are all that interested.
Go ahead.
For all the years that I've known James, and I've we've crossed paths traveling, coast to coast. I have never seen this man with a hair out of place.
No.
The clip-on tie is always in place.
Clip-on, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It's a double Windsor, but okay.
Yep.
And he's got the golden tones, and I say, you know what? I hate him. He's the perfect reporter. Even when the wind blows, his hair doesn't move.
Exactly.
I hate him for that.
Gunnar, I have this approach. 90% of the people that see me are probably in a bar and can't hear a word I'm saying. So I'm like, if this is all right, like they probably think I'm decent at my job.
That's a good point. Yeah, no, James, and James is a phenomenal reporter for the NFL Network. I've loved your work for years, man. Of course, and if the last name sounds familiar, your dad's a legend in this town. Scott Palmer, forever at Channel 6 Phillies now. As good a human being as you will ever encounter is Scott, that's for sure. Well, let's start with that, James, because you cover the league, and I know you're going to be here next week for the Eagles, and we'll dive into the Birds in a second, but the Mayfield situation is a bizarre one, man. I mean, he's still there. Like, how does this shake out eventually? I mean, can they really go to camp with him in this mindset?
Yeah, and it may happen. It really may happen. Wow. This might be a situation where somebody goes down at another team. Remember Sam Bradford in that situation? It could be a really similar situation, because if you look at Carolina at 6, right, and we're looking at teams that are looking, and right now we could get into the quarterback class that we want. We know the Eagles aren't taking a quarterback in the first round, but this class, in my opinion, stinks. Yeah. But and not really my opinion. It's the league is very all over the place on this group. Yeah. But you look at Carolina at 6, if one of the tackles, those 3 big tackles, are still available at 6, they could convince ownership to say, Matt Rule's we got to take one of these tackles. And then they go tackle. Obviously, the Browns are going to pick up the phone and say, well, you guys didn't take a quarterback. Are you interested in Baker? But it's Baker's essentially Sam Darnold in a sense. I mean, those are the top 2 quarterbacks taken in that draft. And it's like, you're going to need Cleveland to eat a bunch of the money. And then you go down to pick 9 and say, like, Derek Stingley's the guy that's really linked to the Seattle at 9, and they go corner there, or they go anything other than quarterback, they're going to pick up the phone and call Seattle. But at the same time, Seattle just signed Geno Smith to $7 million to be their backup this year. And Drew Lock, guys, like, that is somebody they really liked in the draft process. Now, Drew's had an up and down NFL career and a lot of downs. But when he was coming out of Missouri and the guy was throwing 40 touchdowns in the SEC on one of the worst SEC teams out there, it shows you something. The arm talent's there, and they liked him a lot coming out. What if they want to see him for a year? So now where does Baker go? The options aren't really there. And you also have Jimmy Garoppolo in play as a team could be interested in him as well. So this could go into training camp where they're, I don't want to say hoping for an injury, but they're hoping for something to happen to where they can move him.
James, is there a leader in the clubhouse in San Francisco? I mean, is it Garoppolo who got them to the playoffs last year, won some playoff games, or is it now time? Hey, he got his red shirt, he got his apprentice year. Is it time for Trey Lance? Where do you think things stand there?
Well, Rob, a few months ago, maybe 2 months ago, or whenever roughly after their season ended, they told Jimmy, like, we're moving on to Trey Lance. And he understood that. And I think he's one of the better people in this league. I think the way he has gone about his career and knowing him a little bit. But at the same time, it's kind of shifted back a little bit. Like, well, what if we don't have the offer we want for Jimmy? He's been to a Super Bowl, almost got to another Super Bowl. What if we're going through this offseason workout and the start of training camp, we're like, Trey Lance hasn't taken the jump that we thought. Mm-hmm. Maybe another year is not the worst thing in the world for him. We could put Jimmy back out there. That school of thought is like creeping back in. Now, nobody's beating them down with offers, so maybe that's why they're having that thought.
And he's
process.
making a lot. That's a lot
but at the same time, they know what they have in Jimmy. But I mean, you lose Debo. If that ends up happening, somebody can demand a trade. Doesn't mean they're getting traded. If that changes things, because I think all the guys around Jimmy are what makes him a little bit better than what he is. But at the same time, the thinking is that, well, if we have to go in there, it's not the end of the world if Jimmy's there and Trey waits a little bit more.
I think that's the consistency right now too.
James, as we know, we know teams every year stretch when it comes to the quarterback. Everybody wants that glamorous quarterback. And I think we all agree that this is at best a mediocre group of quarterbacks coming out. How many do you think will honestly go in the first round? Somebody's going to reach for one of these guys.
It's not going to be somebody. I think it's going to be multiple people, and it's going to be because jobs are on the line as one. We talk about Carolina. Matt Rule needs to win right now. And Kenny Pickett's the one that I know teams say if you wanted a guy to win right now, that'd be the guy.
Right.
But I've had multiple teams tell me, like, they don't know what the ceiling is from where he's at now. They might be like right here. Like, this is what you're getting in Kenny Pickett. At the same time, like, I think you might have 3 go. Desmond Ridder, like, he's sneaking into the first round with teams I talked to during this process. So when we break down this process, right, the scouts do all of their work. The coaches don't really get involved until like these last few weeks, right? When they start going to pro days and Mike Tomlin's going to every pro day and they're starting to get more involved. Once Ritter's been sitting down with these GMs and these head coaches, he's blowing them away in the meetings. How mature he is, how prepared he is. They love the fact that he has risen a program to a playoff team. I mean, he took Cincinnati to a college football playoff. That means something to coaches, right, from the quarterback position. When you make everybody around you better and you make your team better and you elevate a program or you elevate a franchise. So he's the type of guy that's kind of sneaking into that back end. If anybody wants him and they really like him, that could add Gunner to the group because, right, you're like, well, I'd love that 5th-year option on the quarterback. So if I can trade back into the back end of the first round, that would be great. And then Malik Willis is the other guy, and Matt Corral. Some buildings are completely torn on Corral. Half the building loves him. Half the building thinks he's not going to amount to much. And then Malik Willis, I talked to a team. No knock on him because I think he's a great person, great kid. They thought he was a very bright kid. Love sitting down with him. They thought his football intelligence was at like a high school level. Essentially, when they're describing things to him, like when we're in cover 2, remember, he's like, whoa, back up. Like, all right, like what kind of cover 2 you guys? Like, whoa. Like what he's asking questions about things in conversation in the meeting that coaches and quarterback coaches and OCs are just breezing over, right? And so that's a project right there, but there's a ceiling there. So they're all over the map with this group. but I think 3 could go for sure because Pittsburgh might go with one at 20 if the right one's there.
Yeah,
they always reach. Go ahead, B.
Yeah, that's the problem there, because there's so much. I mean, this is probably the most mediocre quarterback class I've seen, but it's also mediocre as far as teams. You look at the Texans with Mills, even the Eagles with Hurts. I mean, you look at Trubisky with the Steelers. There are so many teams that just have to, just stay stagnant at the quarterback position, and next year, hoping there's a quarterback that's going to come out next year. So, I mean, I don't know. When I approach this draft and how I look at Howie, what direction do you think Howie's going to go to? Especially with the quarterback situation, the receiver situation, defensive line as far as pass rusher, linebacker, safety. I mean, what direction do you think they're going from a national standpoint? Not from us. We live in our fishbowl here.
Yeah, that's a great question. Let's start off with what you just said because I think it's perfect about the Texans and the Eagles. I think they're doing almost the exact same thing. It's like, let's see the guy we have this year and evaluate them and give them an entire year. I mean, the Texans love what Davis Mills did at the end of last year when he was named the starter. I've talked to multiple teams that told me he'd be the first quarterback off the board if he stayed at Stanford for another year and came out in this draft. So they want to see what Davis Mills does for a year, and they're establishing picks and capital to see what they can make a move in 2023 because we know Bryce Young, we know C.J. Stroud go Ohio State, and other quarterbacks are coming out. That's kind of the similar thing Philly's doing, right? Like you can look at Jalen Hurts and my man Davey Zangaro is asking the question, like, are you getting these picks to get capital for a quarterback in 2023? Of course, Howie's going to say, we love Jalen Hurts. We hope he has a long career because you are hoping that because you have a second-round quarterback that you can continue to use this capital to build around him. But at the same time, you have to evaluate him and look at what the quarterback's play could be in 2023. And I think they get an opportunity to do that. I think they do believe Jalen has gotten better every year. And when I talk to people outside of Philadelphia, they say, well, look at him. Like from Bama to Oklahoma to his time in Philly, he has gotten better every single spot he's been as it's gone by. Now, how much better and where's that top? They don't know. Now, to answer your question about like with the 2 picks, I think receiver is definitely in play if the right guy falls to him. My opinion, if you can get Jamison Williams at one of those picks, it is a no-brainer for me. I think he is going to be the best receiver to come out of this draft. And again, I went to Ohio State. There's 2 first-round pick Ohio State guys. That's tough for me to say. But I think he is going to be the best receiver in this draft. And if you can be patient and you're a team building and you don't have to push him on the field right away, and that's what Howie's been saying, right? Like, we're building something here. I think that's your play with one of those 2 picks. And I think D-line, you're going to have an option there. And I think that's a play that you can definitely go with. I think some of these athletic linebackers that they may need, you can get in the second, and they got ammunition to make some moves if they'd like. I'd like them to go D-line wide receiver person. But corner, if like Derek Stingley falls to him,
you can't. Yeah, you can't.
Pass that up.
You got to pick that. Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely. James, I want to play off of what Barrett mentioned, us being in the fishbowl. When you're in the eye of it, sometimes it's tough to get some perspective, but you obviously from here, but you cover the league. What's the thought process on Howie, on the Eagles? Yes, we know they won a Super Bowl 4 years ago, but kind of where things are right now, a team that was 9-8 and sort of backdoored their way in, to be honest. What's the thought process around the league?
Around the league on Howie is there's never a conversation that's happening in the league that Howie is not involved in or Howie is not calling to check on, which is, I think, is what you want in your general manager. I think I don't want to say what Howie lacks from the scouting side of things, but from what his advantage is over GMs that come from a scouting background, him coming from the cap side and that side of things, I think his negotiation ability is an advantage for Philadelphia. And nationally, that is a perspective. Like nationally, the thought process is he fleeced the Saints on that trade. Like he found a team that was willing and desperate to make a move, and he came out on top. And I loved his little backhand comment, by the way, when he was like, to forget about the trade charts. I mean, both teams are happy with the trade. I thought that was great. Yeah. Sure it was. Yeah, Howie, you're just loving the trade. Right now. But I think the perception right now heading into this draft specifically, Rob, is the Eagles are in a really good spot because there are people that think they're going to win the division. They're going into a draft where there are a lot of tackles in the top portion, and they don't need offensive line help. And that puts them in a really, really good position compared to other teams in this first round because they're not going to have to. And outside of quarterback, teams reach for tackles, and they don't have to. They're deep. They could trade Andre Dillard if they wanted to.
Yep.
So like the perception is Howie and company are building something in a direction. And we look at some of these teams in the little middle of the pack and you just kind of see them floundering. That's not the perception with Philly.
Hey, James, what do you think to be the biggest run in the first round? Which position?
I think it's going to be receiver. I think once those start going, it's funny. I was just texting with a pro personnel guy before we jumped on, and I was like, hey, a team told me that they think 4 receivers are going in the first round. And he was like, ha! Are you kidding me? He's like, it's going to be 7. He's like, it's going to be 7 receivers are going to go in this first round. I was like, oh, man. I think that's going to be the play. I think Howie is right on the press conference the other day when he said he knows what players will be taken in the top 20. He just doesn't know who's taking them. I think that's accurate. Like, we don't know this draft order. It's different than other years. There's not consensus guys at the top. I mean, people are still debating 3 different players at number 1. I think it's going to be Walker, but I think there's a debate still. That shows you how much, movement there could be in terms of players. I think receiver gunner is going to be the one that all of a sudden they start going and everybody looks at these receiver contracts and these guys looking for contracts and going, right, I could use a receiver on a rookie deal, man. There was 5 rookie receivers led their team in receiving this year.
That's right. That's right.
I think that's a thought process that the teams are having right now.
Well,
James,
I'm looking at.
Yeah, go ahead, bud. Go ahead, Ben.
I'm looking at the draft board and I'm looking at guys that are dropping. Hamilton's dropping. The kid from Oregon, Thibodeau, he's dropping. Who's some other names that are dropping as far as their performance in the combine, maybe in interviewing?
Thibodeau is definitely one, and we could break that down a little bit. He's one that, it's funny. I've heard both sides of it, but some people are like, I don't know what his want to is. I don't know when push comes to shove if he's going to really be the grinder that's, putting in extra work after practice. I'm not sure if that's there. And then I have other teams, somebody like, well, just watch the tape. Like, he plays. And that process, because he's just a different cat, though, I've heard too. Like, some teams have just been like, and that matters to some teams and it doesn't matter to others, right? And that's why you're hearing the dropping. Like, when certain GMs and coaches get a chance to talk to a guy, or a DC talks to a guy and goes, dude, he's just a weird dude. Like, that still can work in the league. Barry, you've been around enough teammates that you're like, that guy's just different. But
3 of us
play ball. Yeah.
I'll give you one guy like that. Yeah, Myles Garrett is that guy. Myles Garrett is a different dude. He wants to talk about dinosaurs and stuff like that. He's not necessarily what you would say is a football lover, a football, thinker. He wants to do, stuff that's off the board, off the chart. He just doesn't do that. But then you look what he does on the field. So I was thinking that, and how I approach Thibodeau, he's dropping right now. I mean, do you jump up at number 10, how he thinks, all right, if we can get him at 10, I wouldn't be mad at that.
I wouldn't be either. I mean, you finished second to last in sacks. I wouldn't be mad at getting after the quarterback. But I think how he is going to be realistic in who he's going to move up for. My understanding is it's a pretty short list, but he has it about who he would like to go up and get, and then where they need to get to for him to go, I can move up. Like you mentioned Hamilton, like I could see Howie being like, he gets to 12 and you're like, dude, I could take Kyle Hamilton. Yeah. And I don't think anybody would be upset about that at all. Stingley, who I mentioned earlier, the reason I mentioned him at this point of the draft is I did his pro day in Baton Rouge, and I got a chance to talk to him a lot and talk to most of the scouts that were there. There's some teams that are terrified of the medical and terrified of the last 2 years where he plays 10 games and plays okay. The 2019 tape is insane.
Yeah, his freshman year is nuts.
It's nuts. It's freshman year he could have went into the league. Go watch him in practice against Jamar Chase every day, and it was like ridiculous. So I think he's a guy that some teams are just going like, all right, well, Trent McDuffie is a safer play. He's kind of the consensus across the board, third best corner. If I can get that surefire dude, like I don't want to take the chance, but then there's enough teams, and I don't know where the Eagles stand yet. Like the ball skills are out of this world. The talent doesn't come around very often. If everything works out, he's an all-pro.
Hey, James, how did you draw the Philadelphia assignment? I expect you to be on the outskirts of Arizona, New England. How did you get so lucky, man?
He missed you, Eric.
Man, I missed you. Yeah, I knew I could maybe sneak in a Phillies game, which I will be going to on Wednesday.
There you go.
Me and Garofolo are going to the Phillies game together on Wednesday.
I'll meet you guys there.
Buddy. Yeah, come on over.
You guys there, yeah.
Listen, they're playing the Rockies, which I'm a little upset about because I went to the Rockies-Phillies game on Tuesday night with
gave
up
so
a
you
late
were the
bomb.
jinx then.
No,
you're the jinx.
Listen, I'd say this: we give up the late 3-run homer Tuesday night, and I was like, dude, we got to catch the train. It's 10 o'clock. He's going through testing for school right now. I was like, we got to catch the train. On the train, he's like, we're following the scores, and he goes, if we didn't leave, we would have come back and won. I was like, I got a kid that's staying all 9 innings now.
He's a transplant for sure. That's I love it. Well, let me ask you, James. So while we have you, Sixers, and we know we had limited time with you, but Sixers, what do you think?
Dude, I guys, this is maybe the most difficult several months I've had in my life, living in Denver and having to listen to this Nikola Jokic love and hatred of Joel Embiid he's done nothing wrong. Yet the entire city of Denver despises Joel Embiid just because everybody here loves the Joker so much. I mean, listen, I think that is a career-defining moment the other night in Toronto, hitting that shot, especially the way the game went. Like it's a game you're not really, when you win games like that, a game you're not supposed to win. You know, you're trailing the entire game. I think. I mean, I'm nervous if they end up playing Miami. They got a lot of really good pieces. I need to see James Harden. I was in Houston covering the Texans when Harden was playing with the Rockets, and I was working at Comcast. So we had all the Rockets games on our air and tons of coverage. Like, I need him to be a scorer like that a little bit, I think, if they get to Miami. I need to see a little bit more of that. But, man, like, this whole second half of the year since the Simmons trade, I've been like, thank God we didn't put Maxey in any of those trades.
Amen.
Like,
Amen. Oh,
yeah.
man. All right. Well, lastly, I want to swing back, and we appreciate you squeezing us in here in between hits. But I mentioned your dad, Scott, great human being. But were you destined to end up doing this with having a dad like Scott Palmer, or was there a part of you when you were younger that was railing against it, trying to go the other way?
Rob, I railed against it like tenfold. I remember I went to Upper Marion High School in King of Prussia, and getting waxed by future NBA guys regularly, but taking foul shots, and people are like, the crowd's humming the Action News theme song. I'm like, get me out of the town.
Oh my God.
I'm like, oh, bless it. So I go to school. I wanted to be a phys ed teacher. I wanted to be a coach and phys ed teacher.
Wow.
So I go to Ohio State, and I want to be a coach and phys ed teacher. I end up getting an internship because I had a journalism minor. I end up getting an internship with the Columbus Blue Jackets. They were the brand new NHL team there. And they're like, brand new. I can do whatever I want for the website, for everything. And so I go in the locker room and I start interviewing guys to I'll write something for the piece for the net. I'm like, oh no. I walk out of there. I'm like, I love this.
You got the bug, man.
I was like, I love this. I love talking to these guys. So it changed. The minor became a major. I didn't ditch education entirely. Still have my education degree, but I turned the minor into a major and switched to journalism. But then I still didn't want to be in front of the camera. I wanted to be I wanted to write, or I wanted to be a producer. But then I don't know. It called me, and the voice was there, so we did it.
James.
James, real quick. So when you come to Philly, are you going to stay with family? Or are you going to soak up some of that NFL Network money and stay in a 5-star Ritzy hotel and eat those 5-star Ritzy meals? Hey, inquiring minds want to know.
They give me a per diem for a reason, Gunner, and I'm going to use every dollar of it.
There you go.
And I'm saying, listen, if I have an opportunity, I love mom and dad, would love to stay out in Wayne. I'll see them. I think I'm staying an extra 2 days just to see them over the weekend. But if I have a chance to stay right next to Reading Terminal Market, I'm going to stay downtown, and I'm going to work all of my points. This is how my family does. I'm like 120, 130 days a year on the road.
Yep.
I need my wife to get these points so we can have a vacation,
Point.
There you go.
They're not yours. They're somebody else's.
Yeah, very practical. Very practical.
All over the points.
James, we're looking forward to your coverage next week, man, and checking you out all the time on the NFL Network.
Yeah,
and follow him at James Palmer TV. But you do a great job, man. We
appreciate
really
it, guys. This was a blast, man. This was an absolute blast. I'm excited to come in town, hang out in the hut with everybody. It's going to be
that's right.
It's going to be nice.
All right, James. All the best, man. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks,
That's
Rob.
James Palmer.
I got it. Yeah, take it easy.
NFL Network. What a great dude, man. He is.
No question, man.
He's a really good reporter too. He does an excellent job. They have hired a group of guys that are just they get it, man. They get stories. They got contacts. They break things. Really good. Really good. So
they should, considering they're owned by the league, right? So they should. You think they'd have more access than everybody outside of ESPN who televises the game.
That's a good point. All right, so let's get a timeout here. Let's talk a little Sixers. We touched on it with James right there. We're not done with football. We're going to swing it back to football a little bit later, but let's do some Sixers when we get back because they have Game 4 tomorrow, looking to put those pesky Raptors away. We will talk a little Sixers when we get back. Barrett Brooks, Derek Gunn, Rob Ellis, Sports Take, JAKIB Media YouTube Network.
Go for the midnight dares. Go for the game. Go for the hits. Go for the fans. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
All right, did you know I was the mommy slam dunk champion?
Really?
Yes, really don't sound so surprised.
Let's see it.
Oh, you're ready. All right, here we go. Let's hear the crowd. So go to right, I go to left, fake 'em out. Mama go up, up, up.
She did it.
Again?
You can't avoid gravity, but United Healthcare can help you avoid financial surprises by helping you compare costs and doctor quality ratings. United Healthcare.
Uh-huh.
On the field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
The following is a real testimonial from the father of a young injured victim.
I didn't think she was going to make it.
Major Perry's daughter was the victim of a horrific accident caused by someone else's negligence.
If you don't find the right counselor, law firm that you're looking for, you will get lost in the wilderness.
Badly injured? Call the Fritz and Bianculli Law Firm at 215-458-2222 and find out why they say, "We got this."
At Stateside Vodka, every new customer gets the world's best rocks glass, free.
You're telling me that bottle is cut in half?
You could say that.
All right, welcome back in, everybody. Sports Take. Hey, Gunn, Rob Ellis, Barrett Brooks.
I love looking in the comments section. I mean, some of these people are funny. I saw one a while back. I think his name is Alexander Freeman. He said Barrett looks like he's in a champagne room.
I saw that.
I love it.
Oh my God, that's great.
I love it.
Pour some sugar on me, baby.
Oh,
No sex in the champagne room.
Exactly right. That's awesome, man.
He's got the hot pink shirt on, the blue baggedrop. I love it. He said
Can't argue with that, really. Actually,
Oh,
yeah. Hey, I want to remind everybody too. We're getting there. You go, a little ice. We're up against it here.
what the
But
heck is he doing over there?
who knows? So the luxury bus. You guys ready for this? We got the unbelievable JAKIB Media luxury tour bus to the draft extravaganza presented by Stateside Vodka. It's your chance to join us, hang out with us, Ocean Casino Resort for the live show, which we'll be a part of. So that Thursday, which is this Thursday coming up, the 28th, we'll be doing our show from Ocean Resort from 12 to 3. And then we have a full-blown draft show for the entire first round as well. That show includes Mike Quick and Seth Joyner and a cast of thousands. Barrett's going to be joining us as well. So you got a shot to come and hang with us. If you're from the region and you're interested in a seat on the luxury tour bus to Ocean Casino Resort for the JAKIB Media Draft Extravaganza, all you need to do on the subject line, put Gunner invited me, okay? Unlike what he does with Barrett, Gunner invited me. Yes, and you email that to Krause, Krausey, at JAKIBmedia, JAKIB.com. Be advised, there's only 36 seats. We get 12 from each show. Now, if we come strong with it, you see it right there. That's where you email it to. Come strong. Maybe we'll get more people than any other show Who knows? I'm just saying. I don't know if I'm allowed to do that, but that's what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. This is from the king of content, our man Joe Kraus. JAKIB Media will communicate with you this weekend, provide all the details. So let's fill the luxury bus. All right, we just wrapped up with James Palmer. That was a lot of fun, man, catching up with James. Who's a local guy, does an excellent job with the NFL Network. All right, so Sixers tonight, guys, or tomorrow, excuse me, tomorrow afternoon, 2:00. How about tomorrow? We got the Sixers at 2 and the Phillies at 4. We got a busy sports day for sure. And what's going to be a spectacular weather day around this area. Embiid's playing with that wrist thumb thing. And I was looking at Twitter a little bit earlier, and there's a shot of him. He's got it wrapped. He's got kind of a brace on it. But Doc Rivers said he's not missing the game. He's going to be able to go. And that thing was bothering him, I think, in the first half or early second half. It didn't seem to, set him back too much. He ended up, he had 5 points in the first half and finished with 33. So do we think this thing gets finished off tomorrow, Barrett?
I think we stick a fork in them and they're done. I mean, they tried everything possible to try to beat the Sixers. They just didn't have enough. And I think they finally came down to reality and like, look, we're an inferior team to the Sixers team. Mm-hmm. We just don't have the horses they have. They've won the race. So I think they'll come out. It'll be close early, but I think it'll be a blowout after the second, third, fourth quarter.
How about you, D?
I look at the way this series has unfolded. Toronto, after losing the first game in embarrassing fashion, came out in game number 2 and had all the energy and went toe-to-toe with the 76ers in game 2, and then the Sixers pulled away. And like we talked about before game 3, I said, when you get to Toronto, it's going to be a different energy. They're going to get the calls in their favor. Toronto's going to be as high as a kite. And sure enough, all those things happened. They swung. They shot their best shot. They went toe-to-toe. We thought they had the Sixers on the ropes. They couldn't deliver the knockout blow, and then they're demoralized when a 7-footer on the outside drains the 3 and just sucked the life out of them. I think a Nick Nurse team will come out and play with a lot of pride, but they realize now they just don't have the tools. And if Scotty Barnes is not playing, they just don't have the tools to get it done. I think the Sixers wrap it up tomorrow, sit back, catch a breather, and watch the rest of that Nets-Celtics series, because to me, that even though the Celtics are up 2-0, to me, I think that's the best, matchup in the first round right now.
I agree.
And I love watching those first 2 games. Yeah. Man, you talk about talent on top of talent, assassins on both teams, the ebbs and flows of the game. You don't know until the very end which way it's going to go. And 76ers are going to need all the rest they can get because if they got to play one of those 2 teams next, it's going to be a dogfight. I mean, obviously, I'm sorry, they're going to play Miami, but
after, but they're going to have to meet them at some point if they want to keep going. Yeah, for sure. I'm with you. I think pride's going to play into it early. Toronto's not just going to lay down. I think they're going to come out and hey, look, the season's on the line. They know that. That only takes you so far. I think eventually the talent and Embiid and Harden and Maxey, the superstars, are what the separator is when it comes to this game. So, look, would I be surprised if this is a tight game at the half or the Sixers are even down a little bit? No, I wouldn't. But do I think ultimately in the end, in the fourth quarter, they pull away? I do. Barrett, I agree with you. I think there's a demoralized, after that was just a haymaker that Embiid threw at them. And can they dust themselves off the mat? Is a major question. But yeah, Derek, you're right. That Boston-Brooklyn series is must watch.
Goodness.
Oh, man. And look, Brooklyn down 2-0 going back to their place.
Yep.
And who knows what this is going to look like game 4 if Simmons tries to play. I still need to see it before I believe it.
But
if that's you guys really think he's going to try to play?
If you're asking me, Barrett, I would lean towards no. I think there will be some kind of setback, if you will. I don't know why they put it out there that he's going to play in a game. Why would you drop him in? If you're going to do it, have him play Saturday in game 3 in the first game back in Brooklyn. Like, I don't get any of this. I think he's a tough guy to acclimate to begin with, but then you're dropping him. I mean, maybe he looks at it like if we're down 0-3, who cares? There's no pressure on me. I don't know. I don't know what's going on psyche-wise with him, and I just don't think it's a good move by that organization.
Well, they're still licking their wounds from acquiring him in the first place. Come on, man. We're talking about a guy that just doesn't have it right now, and I don't know who were we talking about saying that Embiid's a nice guy. We were talking to what's his name yesterday.
Pompey.
Yeah,
Pompey.
Yeah.
I mean, Embiid's a nice guy.
Like he put up with, in other words, if people didn't hear it, he put up with too much or
Yeah.
a good amount of Ben stuff, and he didn't go bananas. Whereas Durant and Kyrie may at some point.
What? They're gonna cuss him out like, bro, you didn't shoot that? You did not shoot that. You were wide open, and you thinking a point guard that's 6 foot is gonna come block. You better shoot that. And they're not gonna push back away, man. He's not built like that, bro. He's just not built like that, man.
I think if you try to add Ben Simmons now, I think you disrupt the chemistry significantly with that Brooklyn team. They haven't played with him. It takes more than just a couple of practices to understand a lot of the body language that goes into it, the ebbs and flows of the game. Do you force feed him just to get him a few shots to get him, back in a rhythm? I wouldn't play him. If I was Brooklyn, I wouldn't even play him. I understand, there's a lot of money at stake here, but I would not even play him right now. I mean, you got this far without him, and I don't know what he can give you. You don't know where he is mentally. You certainly don't know where he is physically, even if you clear him. And I think he could hold Brooklyn back more so than help them at this stage.
Well, I guess they have nothing else to lose because they've been losing. So,
yeah, maybe they do. Look, I think it's twofold, right? They look at it maybe like that, Barrett, and they also there's some need from the front office or ownership to justify the trade. Harden's up 3-0 in his series with the team that he got traded to, and this guy hasn't played for us at all. There's got to be a degree of desperation, but I wouldn't be desperate right now if I'm Brooklyn. Look, they lost 2 tight ones in a game where Durant and Irving couldn't throw it in the ocean. How often is that going to happen? You figure they're going to get back on track at their place. That's a very toss-up kind of series for me. But I'm with you, Derek, to your initial point. Let them just beat each other up for 7 games.
Yeah.
If the Sixers can end this thing tomorrow and B can rest that thumb, hand, whatever it is, rest whatever's going on, and other guys who are a little bit banged up right now can get some rest. It could really set up nicely for the Sixers if they can take care of their business.
Yep.
And Maxey Maxey can then turn around and and have this win under his belt as far as all right, I was an integral part of this playoff series and I helped them win it. I wasn't just a guy that they put in like a spark plug last year. I was a part of the winning. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That it'll just have him going in more confident. Then you look at the mere fact that you can get those guys. I mean, whatever it is going on with hamstrings, thumbs, elbows, that resting period, man, will be great. I used to think that I want to go in hot. Coming off the series. No, these guys need to rest. They definitely need to rest.
Well, let me ask both of you guys, from what you've seen, and granted, they're up 3-0 on Toronto, and there's been a lot, Embiid phenomenal, Maxey phenomenal, been a lot of good stuff. Have they played at a high enough level for you right now that you feel like they can beat the upper echelon teams, or are there things that concern you? They don't necessarily rebound all that well. They certainly didn't in that last game. They turned it over a lot. Now, you could just say, hey, that's ebb and flow of certain games in a series. They take on their own personality, etc. But do you think that right now they're playing good enough basketball, or do they have to really raise it up a notch?
Well, look at Daz Deals. He hit it perfectly also. Tobias Harris waking up is huge. You know what I'm saying? Him being a part of this is going into this playoffs. I wasn't as confident. From what I saw for the last 3 weeks before this, I saw mediocre basketball. I couldn't see Harden doing anything but collecting the check, and dishing out dimes. I don't need that. I want him to shoot more. Well, him going in, being more aggressive, Tobias Harris waking up and contributing, not just on the offensive side, but the defensive side more so than anything.
Right.
Maxey coming to his own, got the confidence level. He busted him for 38, the first game into the playoffs. And just Embiid, man, everything's on his lap. Everything is, ran through him. But him to sit back and watch guys, jump on with him instead of him carrying them, other guys got to start carrying the load too. Man, that's just a perfect situation for him. So I do have a different outlook on how I look as they go forward. I didn't think they had a snowball's chance in hell at beating, Milwaukee, Miami,
Boston,
or Brooklyn. But
Right.
now I'm thinking they can compete with them and squeeze a couple games off and be okay.
Okay, interesting. Let me throw odds at you guys to win the NBA championship. Tell me which of these you disagree with, and I'll tell you where the Sixers are. So Golden State, and they're just shredding in their series, but Golden State's 11-4, Boston 9-2, Phoenix 9-2, Miami 7-1 odds, Milwaukee 9-1, Memphis 10-1, Sixers 10-1, Brooklyn 22-1. How about those?
Wow. Brooklyn 22-1.
I'm surprised by that. I know
Me
they're
too.
down 0-2, but that feels pretty low for them. You get good return on it, but surprised a little bit by that one.
I mean, that's the best player on the planet we're talking about. The best player on the planet playing. We got a guy, they got a guy in Kyrie can just shoot the lights out. It's unguardable.
Right.
And they're still losing that way. I mean, I don't know, man. I didn't watch the last game they played in that they lost. I didn't watch that game, but I watched the game before.
Yeah.
And I mean, I didn't know the Celtics were that good. I knew they were
defensively. They've been ridiculous. Barry.
Right,
Lights
ridiculous. Like they have Jaylen Brown and Tatum, who are your superstars, and then they have a bunch of guys who just defend like dogs, man.
The defensive player of the year. I mean, I couldn't
Marcus
believe
Smart.
it. You know what I'm saying? So that was different for me. I mean, they came in for the last 6 weeks. They totally changed who they are as a team. Totally changed. I didn't think they were near as good as they are right now.
I'll tell you what else has been interesting as these playoffs have unfolded. Like we touched on the injuries earlier, like Booker being out 2 to 3 weeks, Chris Middleton out 2 to 3 weeks. And that's certainly, we know that playoffs are like a war of attrition, man, the last man standing. But have you guys seen the way Jalen Brunson's playing for the Mavs? I mean, they're up 2-1 in that series without Luka. He went for 40-something the other night. He had 30 last night. He's been spectacular. He is going to get paid. He's in the last year of that rookie deal.
It's all about being in the right situation that allows you to flourish, and obviously he's in the right situation.
Right.
I mean, my goodness. I'm sitting there looking at him like, is this the same kid we watched, not too long ago?
Right.
He was a great college player, but now it's like, oh my goodness.
Everybody thought he was too small, Derek.
Yeah,
not quote unquote athletic enough.
Yeah.
He just knows how to play basketball. He knows how to get to his spots. He's like any Villanova guard. He can post you up. He's got the basketball instinct. His father played in the NBA, Rick. I mean, he is just flourished into a beast.
Well, it just comes from the coaching that he has. You know what I'm saying? You get a guy, go out there, play 4 years for one of the best coaches to ever coach, and realizing what you bring to Jalen Brunson is not a great athlete at all. You know what I'm saying? He's one that's fundamentally sound, man. He's one of the most fundamental sound guards you could see, man. It's not like Ja is shooting and getting knocked down and falling and flipping it up and all that. He's not that type of player. He'll come down, you look at him, you give him 3 feet, he's gonna shoot the 3. Boom, you come down, you up on him too much. He's got enough to get behind you and just have a simple layup. It's not flashy, but it works, man. It works.
Yeah.
And a lot of it has to do with knowing and accepting your roles. Right. He's not demanding, more touches. He takes whatever's given to him. He's the consummate team player. It's always we and not me. When he gets his, he gets his. If he doesn't get his, he's open. He's helped somebody else get theirs.
Right.
And that's what you get. And you're right. He's gonna get paid. This kid's gonna get paid, man.
Make no mistake.
Woo.
Did you see the comeback last night? Memphis was getting rolled.
Crazy.
Rolled. I mean, I turned it off. I flipped over to I went to the Dallas game.
I did. They were down 26 points. I said,
this thing's a wrap. Yeah, it's a wrap.
And I left the room, Rob. I swear to you, I left the room for like 15, 20 minutes. I came back. I looked. I said, wait a minute. I had to look at the screen twice. Memphis is up 94-91.
Yeah.
How did this happen?
I only knew, Derek, because they had the score on the game I'm watching. I happened to look up in the right hand corner. I see the score. I'm like, it's a 5-point game now. So then I went back to it as they were making the comeback. Crazy.
It was funny, man, because you look at what Ja posted. Ja posted after the game. He said, "Are we in Minnesota, right?"
Well, that's the thing.
Anthony said that like, "Oh, we in Minnesota."
Yeah.
And he turns around and says, "Oh,
put salt in the wound."
Well, Ja falls into that category of, even though he doesn't play for your team, whoever your team is, unless you live in Memphis. To me, he's as fun to watch as anybody in sports. Like he is that level of. It's just an entertainment thing for me watching that dude play.
But he's trolling. Man, I love the troll he had with Karl Anthony Towns. Oh, we're in Minnesota now. We're in Minnesota.
Yeah, yeah. Well, look, there's a lot of trash talk going on for sure. So, and that one, the other series is Golden State just looks great, man.
Oh yeah,
they look great. Yeah. And with the injury to Booker, that could be their way to get past Phoenix. That's a big loss, man.
Huge. And Green, man. Green is that cog, man. Him D'ing up Jokic, man. I mean, the steal at the end of the game was incredible.
Yeah. And he's such a great passer too, especially from like the top of the key. He just sees everything. That was a big blow for them when he missed a lot of time during the regular season. Getting him back is, and the other thing with them is, yes, they have Curry and Klay Thompson and all that. Like guys like Jordan Poole, they just develop and they get better and better and better. I mean, that's a sign of a great organization.
Man, look at Jordan Poole, man. He was just a guy, but you get him around those guys.
Yes.
It just makes you feel a lot better. And that's what kind of worries me with Sin, for Georgia. I'm sorry to kick it back to football.
No, it's all right. Yeah.
But, is Sin really that good? Because the guys around him make you look really, really good.
Yeah.
But you put Jordan Poole anywhere else, he might just be a guy. You know what I'm saying? But you put him with some guys that are those guys, you become a better player, man, just from the company you keep, bro.
Yeah.
I think Golden State is the team to beat. They are the only team out there right now. They can turn it on whenever they want.
Yep.
And the thing is, when they start shooting the threes, it's not just one guy. They're bombing from everywhere, man. It's Poole. It's Klay Thompson.
Gary Payton Jr. was hitting threes, and that guy is just a defender. He was hitting threes left and right last night.
And Draymond Green reminds me of the modern day Dennis Rodman.
Yes.
He does all the dirty work. He doesn't get a lot of the accolades for his offensive prowess, but he's diving on the floor. He's getting in people's faces. He's taking people out of their games. He's disrupting them with his defensive play. He's trash talking with them. He's an outstanding passer. He can get you points if he needed, but he's not that so-called 20-point score every night. We don't need you to do that. We need you to do the yeoman's work. Roll up your sleeves and do the dirty work. And man, he is the perfect complement to all the mad bombers that team has. Yeah. I can't think of a team that comes close in the last few years that just can shoot it from. They can shoot it from the parking lot with accuracy. I mean, Steph Curry is the most demoralizing player out there. As much as I love watching him, I've never seen a player launch a three, turn and run down the court before it even touches the net.
Talking to the fans.
He's got a lot of swag. He's an underrated trash talker, man.
And if I'm defending him, I want to punch him in the face, man, because you're embarrassing me on national TV, dude.
Yeah, I know. Well, good luck stopping him if you're going to be that guy. That's for sure. All right, so we come back. I teased this. We're going to dive into the top 14. We'll get it right up to where the Eagles are, what Jacksonville's going to do, what Detroit, the Jets, the Giants, Panthers, whatever. We'll dive into all those teams and what they may end up doing here in the draft. We'll kind of take a look at how this might shake itself out. D Gunn, Barrett Brooks, I'm Rob Ellis. You are listening to Sports Take, JAKIB Media YouTube Network.
Go for the midnight dares. Go for the game. Go for the hits. Go for the fans. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
All right, did you know I was the mommy slam dunk champion?
Really?
Yes, really, don't sound so surprised.
Let's see it.
Oh, you're ready. All right, here we go. Let's hear the crowd. So go to right, go to left, fake a mom. Mama, go up, mama!
She did it.
Again?
You can't avoid gravity, but United Healthcare can help you avoid financial surprises by helping you compare costs and doctor quality ratings. United Healthcare.
Uh-huh.
On the field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on three. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
The following is a real testimonial from the father of a young injured victim.
I didn't think she was going to make it.
Major Perry's daughter was the victim of a horrific accident caused by someone else's negligence.
If you don't find the right counselor, law firm that you're looking for, you will get lost in the wilderness.
Badly injured? Call the Fritz and Bianculli Law Firm at 215-458-2222 and find out why they say, "We got this."
At Stateside Vodka, every new customer gets the world's best rocks glass, free.
You're telling me that bottle is cut in half?
You could say that.
My man here. Where is he? John Dickerson. Barrett's wearing an alarm clock on his wrist.
You do have some big ass watches, man.
Yo, I look like I can't wear small ones because you can't see it.
That's
It
true.
looks like a speck of dirt on my arm if I wear it, man.
I put one of Barrett's watches on my wrist one time. I had rotator cuff injury for the next 2 weeks, man. Those things are big as plates, man. You know, he looks like Flavor Flav. I tell you, they're sharp watches though. But
They are sharp.
Big as Flavor Flav's medallions on his neck, man.
I would need a crane just to lift my arm up.
I'm telling you, man.
I literally have a watch that
pearls
weighs. I have watches that weigh literally a pound.
That's wild, man.
Come on, man.
It's a good workout.
Wow.
Good workout every day, lifting that arm up. Yeah, we a lot of love from the comment section. We appreciate you as always, guys. And hey, you want to fire for the last? We're rolling into the last hour of the show. Again, like we talked about yesterday, and if you're just tuning in, you want to fire some good Eagle questions, some good draft questions our way. We will pull up and give you a little touch for the best ones, for sure. All right, so let me give you guys the draft order here, okay, just to refresh people's memory. All right, so Jacksonville is number 1, and Barrett, I want to touch on them in a second because you brought something up interesting yesterday on them. Because the consensus for a long time was they were just going to take Hutchinson out of Michigan, the defensive end, the edge pass rusher. Excuse me, and he was going to be number 1, and you don't have to worry about anything else. But that may be changing. Detroit at 2, Houston. You get the Jets-Giants combo there at 4-5. Carolina, Giants again at 7. You tend to forget what kind of firepower the Giants have for this draft. Atlanta at 8. Seattle, that's from Denver. And then you got the Jets, that's from Seattle at 10. So the Jets have a couple in the top 10. Washington, Minnesota, Houston, and that's in the Deshaun Watson deal. Baltimore, and then it's the Eagles at 15. So let's start with 1 here. You don't think Jacksonville anymore is a lock to take Hutchinson 1?
No, not really. I just think that Trayvon Walker has done enough to unseat Hutchinson. Now Hutchinson, he's still a really good defensive end. He'll come in, he'll be productive, but he's kind of one-dimensional from what you look at him, you know, as far as just a pass rusher. You can put Trayvon Walker anywhere. You can blind him at 3. You can put him at end. You can play him at linebacker. He ran a 4.5 40.
Insane.
At what? Yeah, at 267 pounds, 6'5".
Mm-hmm.
Difference maker. He's just done enough that he's made himself a legitimate number 1 pick. But then Detroit, right after that,
that's where Hutchinson goes.
Hutchinson goes the second pick. So, man, all
stays
right.
in Michigan. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it'll be
sense.
perfect for him. You know, it'll be perfect for him.
Houston at 3 is an interesting one because you talk about a team that's got a lot of holes, man. And we were talking to James Palmer from the NFL Network a little bit earlier, and he seems to think they're not going to be anywhere near a quarterback. They're going to see what Davis Mills gives them this year, and so that you can discount that at 3. So are they in the market for another one of those defensive linemen? All the studs that we were talking about.
No, I think Houston needs to settle down with that offensive line. You know,
maybe Neal goes there. Maybe
either Neal or they go with the other kid. What is his name? Kim.
Okay.
Ekwono.
Yeah.
The kid from North NC State.
Okay.
You know, Ekwano, I think he's kind of unseated Neal as the number one offensive lineman that's going to get drafted. We're talking about a guy with, he's a better athlete than Neal. He can do a lot more versatile. Comes from a football family. His brother plays D-line somewhere. Ekwonu is a beast as far as the way his feet move. He's nasty. He can pull, moves well in space. He can play outside. He can play inside. So I think he'll be the next guy to go.
Derek, any wild cards here? The Jets with Joe Douglas, the Giants with a couple of picks in the first 7 here. Carolina, Matt Rule, very desperate situation for him with his job. Washington's always, who knows? I mean, there are a lot of teams in front of the Eagles that could go a lot of different ways.
Well, when you look at the Giants, they have 2 of the first 7 picks in the draft right now. They pick at 5 and 7. Yep. The Giants, for the last 5 years, have trying to been fixed their offensive line. So I expect one of those picks to go to the offensive line, but they also need playmakers on the outside. And I think they're going to go wide receiver as well. When you look at the Houston situation, there's not a position on their team where they don't need improvement. Barrett's right. They need improvement along that offensive line, but they also need some pass catchers. That young quarterback, they got rid of Will Fuller. They sent DeAndre Hopkins off to Arizona. They have basically pedestrian
Brandon Cooks, catchers. Right? And nothing else.
The cupboards are dry.
I'm sorry. And I was a big Brandon Cooks fan back in the day, but you look at how much he's bounced around over the last few years. You look at how many injuries have stagnated his career, and Houston just re-signed him, I believe, to a 2-year contract. Okay, he's an option, but I need a younger pass catcher, somebody more reliable as well. So I don't think a pass catcher is out of the play with Houston. Houston should, if Houston is smart, they build that team from the inside out, hit the trenches and build from the outside. But something tells me, when you draft that high and you look at some of the pass catchers on the board here, you can't look over that. But the team that I'm interested in seeing the most out of the first 9 is Seattle. I'm going to see what Seattle does. Seattle is known for building good defenses. Well, they let Bobby Wagner go to the Rams. They let a lot of good players go over the last few years. And I want to see what Seattle does. Do the approach? I don't think that they'll take a wide receiver. They got some pretty good wide receivers in Tyler Lockett and DJ Metcalf out there. You know who the quarterback is going to be, basically. I'm interested in seeing what they do on the defensive side of the ball. Will they go safety? Will they go linebacker?
Thibodeau, if he's still there, maybe.
Oh, no question about it. They need edge. They need a whole bunch on defense. And Matt, Pete Carroll loves his defensive players. That was the heart and soul of that team. As good as that offense was back in their heyday when Russell Wilson won that Super Bowl, they were called the Legion of Boom for a reason.
Right.
You look at that defense they had back then, man. I wouldn't want to play them on any day of the week, man. They just hurt people. They didn't just hit you. They hurt people back then. Now, here's an intriguing name. We're talking about, this play. I just see Adam Schefter reporting and a few other people. Earl Thomas wants to get back in the NFL. Now, to show you how quickly time goes by, I'm shocked. Earl Thomas hadn't played since 2019.
Yeah, it's been a while. Yep.
Now he's 33 years old now, but he put it out there. I'm in shape. My timing's back. Would Earl Thomas be a quick fix to put in that Eagle secondary? You can get him here.
He has some character issues though,
and he's hurt all the time. He's breaking down.
But he's been out now. But he's been out what two seasons now, 20 and 21. So he's been out 2 years now. I'm not saying that's going to mean it's going to enhance his longevity.
Yeah.
But would you take a flyer on Earl Thomas to help groom some younger guys you might draft?
He doesn't interest me, Derek. I think he's done.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
All
he's
right.
done.
Okay.
I think he's done. Yeah, he that would worry me. Let me ask you.
Even though he would be an upgrade over anybody there right now.
That's sad to say that, by the way.
For the very short term.
Sad.
Yeah, if he can stay on the field.
It would be short term.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you about the Giants. I don't know about you guys. I don't think Daniel Jones is the answer to anything.
No.
Do you think there's any way they take a quarterback with either of those first 10 picks?
We're talking about a quarterback, man, and at this point,
Brian Dable. Now they're
Dable's the head coach.
An offensive guy, the head coach.
But would they go Pickett or would they go Malik Willis?
Malik does I know he's nowhere near as big, but he's got the cannon of an arm. Would Dable look at that and say he reminds me of Josh Allen in that sense? Got some mobility and a cannon for an arm. He's probably 4 or 5 inches shorter, but
Well, Dabo's he was a very good offensive mind when he was with the Bills.
Yeah, he was.
And you look at the kind of players they had in Buffalo, and running back, wide receivers, bringing in Stephon Diggs and so on. And so, hey, if you get one of these young quarterbacks in there, I think Daniel Jones is on the hot seat, no question. If you draft quarterback, that kid sits 1 year under Daniel Jones, but who knows? He could take over. If Daniel Jones continues to struggle, I say halfway through the season, and the Giants season is a lost cause again. Mm-hmm. I think you got a quarterback now, your future. You're looking at your so-called future. If you take one of these quarterbacks, I wouldn't put it past Dabo to take a quarterback at 5 or 7.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me one bit. For folks who are just tuning in, we talked about this earlier, but the Eagles are converting J.J. Arcega-Whiteside from wide receiver to tight end. And my thing is, I guess I understand it from a depth perspective, because you do have some injuries and guys who Tyree Jackson, who they're high on, who's a converted quarterback, who isn't going to be able to start the season. But this feels kind of desperate to me. It feels like this is just a way to sort of justify his existence. And should we still be going through that at this point with the Eagles? We've seen enough of this, haven't we, with him?
Exactly. But, I mean, one thing you can say, just throw another shot in the dark, you know what I'm saying? Because, eventually they're going to have to cut him anyways. At what point do you say no mas? He's done nothing else, so why not try to reinvent him and put him in a position where he might have some success? You don't know what's going on with the tight end situation for the Eagles, as far as when it comes with Jackson. Jackson's been hurt. He hasn't really made that transition from being a quarterback to tight end fully. We saw some promise in training camp, but I'm not going with the training camp BS anymore. I don't care what they're doing. Right. I'm going with the eye test of what I see in games and not what I see in practice. Because I tried to do that last year, and they look like all pros in practice. Get in game type situation when the heat is on them, they all folded like some cardboard boxes. So at this point, why not just try him somewhere else? Because he's definitely not a receiver. Try him somewhere else where maybe he gain a little weight, become a tight end. Remember, I'm not Shannon Sharp. I'm not saying he's going to be Shannon Sharp, but Shannon Sharp was a small tight end that was one of the best blockers I've ever seen. Yep. Certain stuff that he would do, like he would actually rip guys when he's blocking them and cutting them out. He'd rip them like this, and when he ripped them, he would clamp down on their arm, and he's holding them, and it looks like they're holding him. And I damnest ever seen in my life, man. He was strong enough to keep this guy clamped, and there's no way they can get out of it. It doesn't look like he's holding because he's just like this, and he has their arms clamped up underneath his arm. He was the master at blocking like that, man. So maybe he does get strong enough to become a tight end. I just, you got to know when to roll him, know when to run. You never count your money. He's been counting his money. When you sit
Kenny Rogers? Yeah. You worked at a Kenny Rogers reference? That's a first on Sports.
As we've been sitting here talking
in a champagne room,
moving Whiteside to tight end, it just came to me. I think that, and this is just my opinion, and we'll see if I'm right or not. I think they're moving JJ to tight end as a body to help out with the tight end situation, because they're going to take a wide receiver higher, and they need to make space for that wide receiver to get a lot more reps with JJ out of the way. I think JJ doesn't make this team at all. When I look at the Eagles tight end situation right now, we know what Dallas Goedert is to this team. The kid that really intrigues me the most is this Tyree Jackson. And I go back to last training camp and preseason. This kid was making some unbelievable catches. When you're 6'7", 245 pounds.
In practice now. Practice.
That was practice. That was practice, but also preseason game now. He did it in preseason, and then he got hurt.
Yeah.
And you didn't get to see much of him. I think this kid's upside is there's no ceiling on this kid's upside. Richard Rodgers, could he be back as the old man to kind of be the grandfather of the group? So to speak.
He's been holding on.
He's been holding on forever.
They got rid of him.
They put him aside, then they brought him back again.
He's somehow always been. He's always ends up. He's like a bad penny, man. He's always popping up.
You can't get rid of me.
I think JJ is a practice squad body at the tight end position just to give other guys some relief.
Okay.
And so I'm thinking the Eagles, you know, from what I've gathered recently, the Eagles' priorities: wide receiver, edge rusher, cornerback.
Wide receiver 1.
Wide receiver. I'm not saying in that order. Wide receiver, edge rusher, cornerback. Why you be laughing, Brooks?
Something's wrong with these guys. Jeremiah Butler, man.
Yeah.
The only Eagles uniform that J-Jaw should wear at this point is the swoop costume. You gonna call that man Swoop, man?
And by the way, put some respect on the man's name. It's Swoop. How dare you?
He said Swoop.
How dare you go swoosh? Man, it's not cool. Oh my God. Yeah. All right. Look at the division for a minute.
Yo.
And you got the Giants with Daniel. I don't like anything about their offense. And I don't know how much Saquon Barkley, he's just had so many injuries. I don't even know what you do with that. But you look at their offense, I don't love it. New coach, obviously, we're going to see what that tends to look like once he gets his fingerprints on it.
Right.
You got Washington with Wentz now, and we got to get our head around that first and foremost. But they're still owned by Daniel Snyder. And then you have the Cowboys, who every year look like they have talent, but always seem to underachieve.
Right.
Again, the division's there for the taking.
Is Barrett crying?
What it no.
That swoop thing got him.
Bro, that was pretty good. But bro, is this a perfect storm for mediocrity again?
It's starting to feel like 9-8 gets you in the playoffs again, doesn't it?
I never thought there was a time when I would say the NFC East would be the worst division of football. I never thought I would ever say those words. In all the time that I've covered the Eagles or have been watching football over the last couple of decades. But I think the NFC East is the most lethargic division in all of football right now. You know, and that's hard to say, man. You look at the way players, the division I can't wait to watch the most is the AFC West. You know, they got gunslingers on top of gunslingers now. You got Russell Wilson, Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes, Derek Carr.
Yeah,
and then you look at who those guys are throwing to out there, and you look at the innovative offenses all those teams have. You know, I look at the AFC North, you know, what they have in AFC North now, you know, a rugged division, you know, and you look at the quarterback play, you know.
Baltimore spent big this offseason.
Oh, dude, oh my goodness, man. The only team that doesn't have a quarterback in that division right now is Pittsburgh.
Right.
You know, and, you know, Pittsburgh's another team that could come into play and take a quarterback in the draft.
100%.
Who knows?
Yeah, 100%
you know?
they could. Yeah.
I think the AFC South is intriguing. Now the NFC West is, I think, the biggest mystery.
Fran is going to. You don't know what they are.
I'm sorry, the South, NFC South.
Yeah, I think the South is. I think the South rivals or could be worse than the East.
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
you know, but you're right. NFC West is going to be a slugfest. It's going to be a knockdown, drag out slugfest in the NFC West, and you know the NFC North is what it is. It's going to be Minnesota, Green Bay going down the stretch again. You know, but I just hope the Eagles can somehow, some way rise. I hate to say this, and I know people don't want to hear this, but on paper, I still say right now, even without Amari Cooper, I think Dallas is the best team in the division right now. When you look at, they re-signed Michael Gallup to a big contract. You have CeeDee Lamb. You have Ezekiel Elliott. I think Dallas did a great job last year spending the first 6 picks on defense last year. Some of those young players they drafted balled out. You know, they got the defensive rookie of the year. Because that linebacker, Michael Parsons, you know what? They're game players and they're game changers. This kid's a game changer, man. When you look at what he is and how disruptive he is, and I just think Dallas right now on paper is a little bit better than everybody else in the division.
No, they are, Derek, talent-wise. Just with Mike McCarthy.
I agree there.
You know, and the jury still being out on Dak in a big game, and you know the combination of those two. I agree that, like, I think they're going to win enough regular season games that they're going to win the division. Right. But when it comes to a playoff game is where really
not with McCarthy.
That's the thing. You know, you wonder where you followed the Packers very closely. Right. How many more do they win with Aaron Rodgers if Mike McCarthy's not at the helm?
Oh, there's no question. The fact that he won a Super Bowl in 2010 in Green Bay prolonged his stay in Green Bay, but finally they woke up and they got rid of him with a few games left in the season when they finally got rid of him.
Mm-hmm.
Enough was enough. Aaron Rodgers basically made Mike McCarthy, and it helped prolong his tenure. The fact that Jerry Jones went out and hired him as his head coach is as comical as the day is long, because nobody else really was out there pursuing Mike McCarthy. And so that's why I said if Mike McCarthy underachieves with this team, with this group of talent this year, that's why I think Sean Payton will be relocating to Dallas in 2023.
I'm with you. Like, Jerry was loyal to a fault with Jason Garrett.
Yep.
With Sean Payton dangling out there, then at that point he'll have a year to recharge and do TV and all that. He's not going to be as patient with McCarthy. So
no.
Take advantage of the Cowboys now, as long as Payton's not with them, for sure. Payton could be a game changer where he ends up. Apparently Miami was in on him. Certainly, and he has a home in Dallas, so Dallas makes a ton of sense as far as that goes. But yeah, I mean, the fact that we're already talking about a replacement for Mike McCarthy really tells you all you need to know. What a mess that thing is, for sure. But from an Eagle standpoint, I agree with you. I mean, it's hard to really dig in when you don't know about the quarterback. Simply put, I mean, you love the offensive line, the ability they're going to have to run the ball, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert. There's a lot of things to like on that side of the ball. But until we know further exactly what Jalen is, and look, I think the good thing is, and I don't think Jalen's making these excuses, but the things you hear from other people, in other words, I think it is valid. He's played in 3-4 straight years of a different offensive system. He's got some continuity now, right?
Right.
I think they're going to add a receiver like you talked about. He'll have Devontae Smith and another receiver and Dallas Goedert and a running game and an offensive line. So I think a lot of the pre-existing things will be lifted out from Jalen Hurts, and we're going to have a better idea. All right, this is who he is, period. Let's stop with the charade.
I can't get to that point, man. I'm just not at that point. I'm not at that point where I say that Jalen Hurts is not going to be an effective quarterback coming back. I can't get to that point, because what I saw him do for the last 8 or 9 games leads me to believe he's only going to get better in the system that knows how to use him now. This will be the second time in his career that he'll have the same coach,
right,
stemming from college. He knows what it is to be a pro now. He's always gotten better at every point in his career as he went forward. I see him as a guy that's going to be a very, very good quarterback. He's going to be a good quarterback, man. Is it going to be good enough to keep him here? I don't know, but he's not going to cut himself off at the legs, and that'll be the reason why he's going to be gone. He won't do it.
I don't think so either. I guess my point, and I probably didn't express it well enough, was I think a lot of the noise is going to be pushed aside. We're going to really just see what Jalen's all about, and I think that's a good thing. Right now we're all sort of on the fence. Barrett, it sounds like you're more optimistic. I'm very much in.
But you know me, I'm always optimistic.
I hear you, and I'm in wait and see mode. I'm not in he can't play mode. I'm in wait and see mode.
Right.
And that's just where I'm at when it comes to a guy like Jalen. I mean, the beauty is, he's working his rear end off. We know that. We know he's going to come in prepared. We know he's got the football IQ. All that stuff's there. Like, there's no nonsense of him off the field. He's dialed in. That's all good. And that all lends to you getting better. I wonder if ultimately the ceiling is Ryan Tannehill, which is good enough to get you in the postseason, but not good enough to win you a Super Bowl. And you know what I mean? I wonder if that's kind of where he tops out at.
Right.
I give you that. I give you that.
I'm with Rob. I'm with Rob. I hope Jalen Hurts comes out and plays lights out and shuts everybody up, the media and the fan base that have basically given up on him. I'm in a wait and see mode. Does he have the potential? I think so. Does he have the self-desire to excel? I think so, based on what we know about him. And I think he's mature far beyond his years. But I'm in wait and see mode. Does all that equate to him having the mechanics and the wherewithal to take his game to that next level? I don't know. He's out there working with some of the top people in the training, arena in terms of trying to get better. The organization, top to bottom, has basically told all of us this offseason, we're all in on Jalen Hurts. Now it's on Jalen to get. It's on two people. It's on Jalen to get better, and it's on Nick Sirianni to streamline his offense even more so to cater to Jalen's strengths. So that's why I'm in wait and see mode. And I hate to acknowledge this, but this is from the category of people hear what they want to hear and don't hear what you say. Like this guy here or whoever it is, one above all. Derek Gunn, gonna have to chill with all this Dallas love, homeboy. Did anybody hear me say I love the Dallas Cowboys? I've been on record time and time again. I hate the Dallas Cowboys as much as anybody. But basically what I stated was honest facts out there. On paper, they have the best overall talent in the division. Whether you hate them or not, that's a fact. And they've been an underachieving team forever. They have a coach who will probably cost them a few games. So anybody who thinks I love the Dallas Cowboys, squash that noise now.
Well, I think
people like that bother me because they twist up. They hear what they want to hear.
Well, I think what
very little gets under my skin, but stuff like that does.
You have to be able to discern honest opinion versus pom-poms. I mean, that's what it is. Derek's not going to come on and say, hey, Eagles are going to go 17-0 win the Super Bowl. No, I mean, and look, I loathe the Cowboys, but if you're asking me right now who the favorite is to win the division, it's the Cowboys, in my opinion. But I think ultimately their shortcomings will hurt them in the postseason. They'll be good enough to get through the playoffs. Back to Hurts for a second. We saw him play really well against the lesser, kind of like the team did. He sort of followed the team's mode. Against the lesser teams, he played very well. And then you got him in the playoff setting against a good defense in Tampa, and he really, really struggled. Now, some of that can be attributed to the fact that it was his first year as a full starter. He's a younger guy and all that. And I think that's very real. But I just wonder if he can beat the bad to mediocres when he gets against the real big boys, if he's going to be able to do it. But you bring up a good point. Sirianni's got to put him in the best position to succeed. And I sort of feel the same way about Sirianni that I feel about Jalen. There's some things I really like and some things I really question, and I'm in wait and see mode with the coach too.
Perfect.
Jalen and that team got shredded by Tampa Bay in the playoffs because of one thing. Todd Bowles is one of the best defensive minds in all of football.
And
basically, he stacked the box against that Eagles offense and put his corners one-on-one with the Eagles wide receivers and said, your wide receivers are not good enough to beat us defensively. And as decent as your offensive line has been, they're not good enough to blow us off the ball.
Right.
And your quarterback doesn't make decisions quick enough to beat us down the field. And all of those things happen.
Yeah.
So that's why I said, okay, it was a great learning tool for Nick Sirianni, for Jalen Hurts, and for a lot of young players who got that valuable playoff experience. Now let's see how much they learned and how much they can elevate their game and what type of players, both through the draft, and I still think they're going to pick off some low-level free agents out there, that they've learned their lessons to enhance the overall product to make them a better product if they get back to the playoffs again in 2022.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And look, a lot of this is going to be, one hand, all of this sort of has to coincide together. Like Howie's got to do a good enough job getting the personnel for Nick. Right, and I'm going both sides of the ball here, but just talk offensively for a minute. He's got to get some weapons for Jalen Hurts to be able to succeed. He's got to do a better job defensively where they can get a turnover or get a sack and get the offense good field position. So all of this, it all works in conjunction with one another. And right now, as we sit, as we talked about earlier, there's too many holes right now, and that's not going to bode well for the young quarterback either. There's just not enough right now, and they got to get this right.
And bro, people are talking about, they in the playoff game, they just got shredded. You could tell it. Well, the reason why, that was just a better team. They got the best quarterback to ever play the game on the team. Plus a great defensive coordinator. Of course, they lost the game. I thought they always have
on the road.
On the road. I know they had a fighting chance, but I mean, they just had too many. They had too many rib shots, too many jabs, and everything else for this Eagles team. So when you make it the comparison, you look at this. They played. They couldn't beat good teams. Well, there's a lot of teams that can't beat good teams. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
They're learning just like everybody else is learning. Give them an opportunity to at least go out there and compete. What if you got even teams? I can see the Eagles beating a lot more teams, but at this point, their hands were tied behind their back. They just learned the offense. The defense coordinator, He's got to get to a point where he's not scared of big time quarterbacks. Once he gets past that fear, I think he'll be a lot better, on how he calls game. But at this point, he's too scary when he plays against great quarterback. Plays off two back, and those good quarterbacks are going to take that all day long on the outside.
All right, let's get our final timeout. Go ahead, Derek. Get your point.
No, go ahead. I'll wait until we get to the other side to bring up a point.
You save that. We'll continue on this discussion when we get back. We'll also dive a little bit into the Phils, who get back at it tonight as well. But we'll keep rolling with the football talk. Barrett Brooks, Derek Gunn, Rob Ellis. You are watching Sports Take, JAKIB Media YouTube Network.
Go for the midnight dares. Go for the game. Go for the hits. Go for the fans. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
All right, did you know I was the mommy slam dunk champion?
Really?
Yes, really don't sound so surprised.
Let's see it.
Oh, you're ready. All right, here we go. Let's hear the crowd. So go to right, go to left, fake them out. Mama, go up, mama!
She did it.
Again?
You can't avoid gravity, but United Healthcare can help you avoid financial surprises by helping you compare costs and doctor quality ratings. United Healthcare.
Uh-huh.
On the field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
The following is a real testimonial from the father of a young injured victim.
I didn't think she was going to make it.
Major Perry's daughter was the victim of a horrific accident caused by someone else's negligence.
If you don't find the right counselor, law firm that you're looking for, you will get lost in the wilderness.
Badly injured? Call the Fritz and Bianculli Law Firm at 215-458-2222 and find out why they say, "We got this."
At Stateside Vodka, every new customer gets the world's best rocks glass, free.
You're telling me that bottle is cut in half?
You could say that.
There they are. Look at those handsome faces. Barrett Brooks, Derek Gunn. I am Rob Ellis. We are Sports Take, JAKIB Media YouTube Network. Again, let me throw this out there one more time about the luxury bus, because we're up against the draft coming up 6 days away, which is a beautiful thing, that's for sure. But we get the JAKIB Media luxury tour bus to the draft extravaganza presented by Stateside Vodka. So if you're in the region, you're interested in a seat on the luxury tour bus to Ocean Casino Resort for the JAKIB Media Draft Extravaganza, here's all you need to do. In the subject line, just type in Gunner invited me, email to Krause. That's all you need to do, man. Krause, K-R-A-U-S-E-Y, K-R-A-U-S-E-Y at JAKIB Media, J-A-K-I-B Media. See it right there on the screen, .com. And be advised, we only have 12 seats for our show. Wink, wink. So maybe we get more than other shows do. I'm just saying. Throw it out there. Refreshments, food, special prizes, you name it. 3 lucky winners will sit in the VIP section for the live show. This is all coming to you from the king of content, Joe Krause, JAKIB Media. He'll communicate with you this weekend, provide all the details. Let's fill the luxury bus. All right, Gunner, I don't want you to forget your point that you were making before we took a timeout regarding this, the Eagles and the draft and the personnel that they have, Hurts, et cetera.
No, all I was going to say is, as we look at this Eagles roster right now, this team isn't good enough to beat the good teams in the NFL, plain and simple. And I don't know how much more they can enhance it. You know, I mean, they're going to add strategically some pieces to the equation.
Mm-hmm.
But if they don't address the wide receiver position, if they don't find a couple of defensive backs who can fill the gaps adequately, we're going to be looking at a lot of the same things we looked at in 2021. And when you rely on rookies, they go through the growing pains. You know, even if they're first-round picks, there's going to be some growing pains. But they can also have an impact on your offense or your defense. You know, again, a Michael Parsons prime example of that if you get the right one to fit what you want to do. So it's going to be – I can't wait to see. I'm sick of talking about the drafts. I can't wait to see the draft. You know, I'm at a point now. Every year I get to this point when you get a week before the draft. You know, I'm sick of looking at all the mock drafts. I'm sick of talking about the draft, but we have to do it because that's what we do. And I'm sick of just speculating. I just want to see it all unfold. You know,
right.
Thursday night can't get here fast enough, so we can put all this to rest, and then the conversation begins. Did they make the right choices?
Mm-hmm.
You know, to make this a better product for this year and the years to come.
Well, when you get to the point where Mel Kiper's on his 104th mock draft, it's probably time for this thing to get underway at this point.
Hey, Barry, you see John Dickerson's got a question for you, man. And that's a question I want to know the answer also.
Hold on, let me see.
I got it. There it is.
Here you go. Yeah, I want to know, too. Did you get your 18 cases?
No, I haven't. That's why I'm sober.
Wow.
That's why I'm sober on the show now.
Wow.
I thought we were going to get a drunk Brooksy today, but no.
Xander's slacking, man. I'm telling you, Xander's slacking. So he got to step his game up, man.
Is it Xander's fault or Joe's fault? I mean, who's
a combination of the two. They both have the same last name, right?
That's true.
I
combination of the two.
I go through Xander.
Okay.
I only call Big Krause when I'm talking about money. When I want something done, I'm supposed to go through Xander. Xander's the producer. Xander's supposed to get it done, man. He's the captain of getting it done.
You're a little disappointed in him.
You're
not mad, you're disappointed. Okay.
Xander's been lying to me for a couple of weeks. He told me he was going to get me certain equipment. I haven't seen it. I'm looking around. I don't see any boxes on my front door.
Wow. Oh, Mr. Ellis. Mr. Ellis got a in-home visit.
I did get an in-home visit.
Yes. In-home visit.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
Yo, Xander, Xander needs to pop up and answer these questions, man.
When you look like this, you need as much help as you can get. So give me my proper lighting, okay?
Hey, Xander, stop hiding behind the screen, man. Come on out, man. Calling you out. Barrett not calling you out, man.
Yeah, man.
Where are you?
He's busy producing the show.
Man, he ain't doing it. He probably taking a nap. He ain't doing nothing.
We sure he's still there? We don't even know what's going on.
Where are you, man?
He doesn't want any parts.
Hello?
Nah. You know, he's saying, he's like, it's Friday, man. Can I just get through this without taking any shots from you two?
Xander needs to answer for his lack of actions.
Wow.
Oh, hey, Barrett, he took care of Rob Ellis, right?
Yep.
Did he take care of you?
Nope.
He take care of me?
I'm still sober.
Yeah, I want to see. Hey, I've seen what Barrett's like away from the camera when he's sober. I want to see him when he's got a bottle of Stateside in him.
We'll do a drunk Barrett show. We will do a drunk Barrett.
I want to see that.
Okay. All right. We will do that.
You guys got the got them thinking that I'm just a wino or something. I just drink just to drink. I barely drink because I don't have any Stateside vodka.
That's exactly right.
I've been very sober for months.
Very sober. Yes. So Phillies today. Phillies are back at it tonight. They come home. Taking on Milwaukee.
Oh, Rob, do we have to? No.
Just for a second. Believe me, I'm going to start getting into the comment section right now. But they're back. I'm going to be on record as saying I think they start to play much better baseball. I think there's too much talent offensively. I think the starting pitching's good enough to be better than what they've been. Bullpen, the jury's still out, and defense jury's out. But they're much better than what we've seen so far to get off to this 5-7 start. I think they will start to turn the corner here.
Right.
All right. You got Ranger Suarez on the mound tonight. He's gone 7 2/3 over his first 2 outings, giving up 11 hits, and his ERA is almost at 6.
Yeah.
You know, now you're playing a Brewers lineup. It's a pretty decent lineup. Brewers have, turned it around. They're playing much better ball now.
McCutchen's playing well for them.
McCutchen's playing. What is McCutchen now? Like 47 years old.
He's 106, I think.
Good Lord.
He played with Willie Stargell back in
the goodness.
Yeah.
So this is, we talked about this yesterday, and I look at the lineup they got to face, at 3 with the Brewers, 4 with Colorado. They've got the Mets coming up. They got a swing going out. But they got to play the team with the best record in the majors right now, the Dodgers. This pitching staff needs to pitch to start pitching in better. than what they've done, because the pitching staff has been Achilles heel on this team up to this point.
Yeah.
You know, you got a good outing from Aaron Nola that was wasted earlier in the week because the bats are now popping. Now it seems the bats came to life that last game in Colorado. You need to carry that over into this weekend. You got to win at least 2 out of 3 against Milwaukee this weekend. Plain and simple.
I agree with you. Look, I agree with you. They got to get their back together.
That's all I'm gonna say. Yeah, that's it. You know, get the backs together. We knew they were going to be deficient in the defensive side of the ball. So
right.
All right, back to the Eagles, back to the NFL draft. What we were doing is we were kind of running through the top of the order leading up to where the Eagles are going to be picking at 15. We haven't discussed this much. So they made the move to trade with New Orleans to trade out of one of the picks in the first round, but they still have 15 and 18. Do you guys sense they're going to make a move up or down with either of those picks, or are they going to stay pat at 15 and 18?
I got a funny feeling they're going to move up. They see some deficiencies at the defensive line position, whether it's rush in or even the interior. And there's some very, very good players. I can see them trying to trade up to, you know, for guys that, you know, we've been talking about for the longest, you know, the Jeremiah Johnsons, you know, something like that, you know. I really think they're going to try to get up and get a player of that caliber, you know, just to, you know, get things going in the right direction. They understand this fan base is ready to win. And they've had all embarrassment of riches as far as 3 draft picks for the entire time. Now only have 2. Now they got to make a big splash, man. So I see them moving up, whether it's to go get a Stingley or maybe a Hamilton or Johnson, or, you know, somebody's going to come in and make a difference, you know, or maybe even a Williams. You know, maybe they jump up to get him, you know, the receiver. So I can't see how he's staying at 15. He's got to move up. He can't help himself. He's got to move up.
Okay.
And, you know, I had a lot of – first off, I had some you know, thoughts of Howie just being a guy that was just a capologist. I think he's starting to really communicate with the guys in the scouting department. And you know, after last year and the success they, you know, obtained last year, I think they found a winning formula. So I think they're going to go forward and have a pretty good draft.
Okay. All right. Got her.
Howie gets skittish. The Eagles, like every team out there right now, has their board set for the upcoming draft, okay? And basically they're just fine-tuning it. And I think if the board – and we all know, you know, outside of the first 1 or 2 players, a draft board, once the draft starts, never goes the way you think it does. You know, there's always one player who's considered the top player at that position, while another player is taken ahead of them, and so on and so forth. Then you get a run of players you didn't expect to get a run of players on. And I think if there's one player that Howie really wants, Howie will make a move to try to move up that board to get that player. You know, as he's done in the past, whether it's the first or second round. And so yeah, I don't think I'd be a little surprised if Howie just stays pat at number 15 with that first pick.
Yeah, if we know anything about Howie, 1, he's aggressive, and we've already seen that with the trade. 2, he's unpredictable. Now, I'm not saying if all of a sudden he's reading the room right, somebody's falling that they really love, that they don't stay pat. That could very well happen.
Right.
But to me, this is one of the things I think Howie does very well. He does read the room well. Like, he looks at the teams that are in front of the Eagles, whether it's the Ravens, I'm just giving you an example, Ravens or Texans or Vikings or whatever. He knows what they need. He knows what the talk is, what they may do. That's where you might see him make that move up, as every GM should do. But Howie, I think, does a really good job with that. He knows who's desperate. Think about last year. You wrangle a first-round pick out of the Dolphins, and you still end up getting the man that you really wanted at a receiver in Devontae Smith. So he's very good at that kind of thing. He smelled blood with the Saints to make that deal and get some help there. So I think you could see the same thing for sure in this draft.
Well, I think one of his biggest heists was the trade for Carson Wentz going to Indy. You started out as a potential second-round pick with the option of being a first-round pick depending on how much Carson played. Well, lo and behold, Carson decides to stay healthy in 2021. You know, I didn't think a lot of people expected that. That second-round pick elevates to a first-round pick. All of a sudden, after 1 year, the Colts jettison Carson out of Indianapolis. He's now in Washington, and the Eagles have that third first-round pick. So I think that was one of the biggest heists that Howie ever pulled in terms of getting additional high commodity for a player that the Eagles were giving up on.
No, the biggest heist he's made was when he traded when he traded that corner and that linebacker to Miami.
Kiko
Alonso and
the kid from they got from Seattle. Maxwell.
Yeah, Vernon was it not Vernon Maxwell?
Byron
Maxwell.
With
that
the
was probably
$75 million contract.
And after he got torched in the first game of the season, he's been, hey, that's football, man. Like, what? No.
Right. No, he didn't even know. He said,
it's a wrong answer. That's a wrong answer.
Said, 120 yards. Damn.
Yeah. No. The best answer Byron Maxwell ever had was when everybody rushed to his locker shortly after he got here. He said, why did you sign with the Eagles? Because they pay me the most money.
Mm-hmm.
Boom.
I appreciate that honesty. I do.
I appreciate it. But then again, Byron Maxwell, he wasn't the sharpest tool in the shed either. There's some things you say and some things you don't say, and I'm sure that did not sit well with the Eagles organization. Hey, you're expecting because this organization I see is an organization up and coming. I love the chemistry with the players in the locker room. I love the commitment to having character guys in the locker room. He point blank said, because they paid me the most money.
Well, all right, let me throw this at you. So this can only help the Eagles if teams grab quarterbacks ahead of them. So which of these teams do you think are likely or could grab a quarterback? Jacksonville, no, right? We could take them off the list.
No.
I think Detroit would think about it if they weren't sitting at number 2.
Right.
That ain't happening. Houston.
I heard they were trying to trade out of it though.
Okay. Maybe. Yeah. I mean, I don't think they think Goff is any kind of answer. Although they were in every game last year, by the way.
Yes.
Even though the record stunk, they were tight in every game.
They were biting ankles now.
Derek remembers this from our betting show, Odds On. I would take Detroit every single week in the points, and they would cover for me every week.
Unbelievable.
It was beautiful.
It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Rob was a genius when it came to that.
You're a good liar. But anyway, so Houston, they're going to stay with Davis Mills. We know that. The Jets drafted Wilson last year. They're not going to go there. Giants, I think it's up in the air. I don't, we'll see. They have 2 picks in the top 10. Carolina.
They need a quarterback.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, Sam Darnold, come on.
Yes. I think they will trade for Pickett. I think they will take Pickett.
Okay.
At that point, right there.
Now go back to Houston though, because as much as Houston needs, and they're committed to Sills now. Here's another team. They need a quarterback of the future now. Have they identified at any of these quarterbacks who everybody believes is a mediocre class of quarterbacks as a guy who could basically be their quarterback in 2023 and beyond? I don't think Houston's out of the mix for a quarterback.
Okay. All right. So keep them in mind. Giants, keep them in mind. Panthers, keep them in mind for sure. Falcons, Ryan's gone, but they have Mariota. They can't view that as maybe they do. Maybe they feel like he could be a long-term potentially. I've kind of written him off, honestly, but I don't know what their sense is down there. You think they could possibly be in play?
If Pickett is there, I think they will make that play.
Yeah,
but I don't know if because it's a crapshoot with Malik Willis and Pickett.
Yeah.
Some teams like him, some teams don't. I hear a lot of rumblings that the Steelers love Malik Willis.
The Steelers are at 20. They're sitting at 20 right now. That's where they're picked. All right. So then you dig into Seattle. Seattle's a distinct possibility for a quarterback.
True.
So that's at 9. So that'd be good. So maybe 2 or 3 are off the board at that point. Washington makes the deal for Wentz. I guess that would discount them. I think maybe they would visit that later. We know Wentz would melt if they took a quarterback there at 11.
I think Washington goes with a receiver so Wentz can have a pass catcher to throw to.
Okay.
Somebody who can stretch the field.
Okay. All right. So that's 11. Vikings, they just gave Kirk Cousins like his 1,000th extension with guaranteed money. So he's not going anywhere. Then it's the Texans again. Then it's the Ravens. We know that's not happening with the Ravens. So that right now, that's the grouping that's sitting in front of the Eagles. What do you think? Maybe 2 or 3 quarterbacks go in that group?
Probably more than likely 2.
Yeah, 2.
I
think 2 go in that group.
Just to jump up and get a quarterback, it's stupid, but it happens all the time.
So
I can't emphasize enough. You look at Sam Rosen, Dwayne Washington, Sam Darnold. All these quarterbacks they turn out to be busts. Everybody. They're the next great ones.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Dwayne Haskins.
Yeah.
They're the next great ones. No, they're not. For every one quarterback who turns out to be a shining star out of the first round, there's always 3 or 4 more that end up being like the Mitchell Trubisky's of the world, the Sam Darnolds of the world. And so, it's the thing is, if 2 or 3 quarterbacks go before the Eagles pick, that's a huge help for the Eagles in terms of having more players at wide receiver, defensive end, cornerback that they can pick from.
Well, one of the reasons why it's such a whiff rate on quarterbacks is, number one, it's a tough position to gauge. It's such a hard position to play, but teams reach. There are teams that take quarterbacks every year and they overdraft them. Guys who aren't. Trubisky's a great. Chicago traded up to get him.
Yes, they did.
Ahead of, correct me if I'm wrong, guys like Mahomes and other players, right?
Yes,
he went before them. Yeah.
So
we see it every single year. So it's bound to happen. Now, I just gave you the teams that are in front of the Eagles. There could be plenty of teams that maybe trade up to get up there. Like, for example, you have the Saints sitting there at 19, right? Maybe the Eagles, maybe they feel like, all right, Jameis Winston is short term. We can do something with the Eagles at 18 and get up or whatever. Steelers are picking at 20. They could be a possibility. Right. Whatever. Green Bay, they have Jordan Love, I guess, but they wouldn't be in the mix. But you see where I'm going with this. Even Tampa's got to start looking at this thing and saying, how many times can we count on Brady coming back or coming out of retirement? Right. So I think all those teams could be possibilities.
I don't see it, man. I think there's going to be. Now that I think about it, man, I don't know if it's going to be a quarterback draft. What I do think is going to be a run on offensive linemen and a run on defensive linemen.
Yeah, well, offensive lineman is good for the Eagles too.
Right, exactly. Yeah. More so than anything. Offensive lineman, they're definitely going to make a run at offensive lineman because it's just too hard. That's one thing you have to have. You have to have there's 3 things you have to have. You got to have a quarterback. Then you have to have a guy rushing the quarterback, and then you have to have somebody to stop that guy rushing the quarterback. So they're going to spend big money and capital, draft capital on protecting their investments.
Yeah. I mean, look, the other thing I wonder about is, and we did, Barrett, I think you touched on this the other day, the possibility that Dillard gets dealt. And is he a sweetener in a deal? Is he bringing back picks for you? That's another little piece that the Eagles have sitting there that could net them. If one of those guys that they love, either receiver or D lineman, is there, they go after him because they can make that move.
Right.
I think that's something that you have to be very aware of because his value for another team is proven. They've seen what he did last year. The kid can play now. He's not the same guy they drafted out of Washington State. He's become a very, very good left tackle. So because of that, his draft value is going to continue to go up. It's going to continue to go up, and they're going to want a pretty penny for him. And teams understand that you got to reach for him. So I mean, there's some potential out there to go to a team that's not as imagine a team like Cincinnati. Cincinnati,
they have got to start protecting Burrow better.
Right. Even though that's the 30th pick.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's still a first round pick. That's still value they can get for that kid.
Yeah. No, look, I think it's a possibility. Speaking of that, I don't mean in the first or second round. Don't get me wrong. But is this the year you draft a center? And you're on borrowed time, it feels like, with Kelsey.
Yeah.
At what point do you invest in that? Because I don't think they want to move Landon Dickerson from that guard spot to center. I think they want to keep him right where he is.
Well, you still have Seumalo, who's a possibility, or Opeta, who's a possibility as well. I don't think right now, one of the few years, the Eagles' priority is offensive line in terms of first-round pick. Now, maybe down the road, some developmental players, 3rd, 4th, 5th rounds. Maybe, you add some more depth. You hide them on the practice squad.
Mm-hmm.
And, maybe one of those guys could emerge as your future center. Who'd have thought, Kelsey as a 5th-round pick would have turned out to be what he is. He was undersized. People in Philadelphia did not like him because, we kept seeing every week him getting blown off the ball by these 315, 320-pound D tackles. And then all of a sudden, the season before Super Bowl 2016, when it started to turn around for Kelsey, and all of a sudden he became this perennial Pro Bowl player, considered one of the best centers in the game today. So while you still have Kelsey here, it would be in the Eagles' best interest to draft another guy who could potentially replace him. But because you have 2 options already in house, it's not a high priority this year.
Yeah, and you have the ultimate developer at that position.
Exactly.
You know, that's another nice luxury that you have going for you.
No question about it.
When it comes to Jeff Stoutland, that's for sure. You know, the shame of it is, like, Chip Kelly had some good ideas and brought in some good people.
Right.
He just couldn't get out of his own way, man. You know, I mean, a lot of the sports science stuff that he does, teams incorporate now. And you know, a guy like Stoutland, what a move. What a move. I mean, that probably the MVP of the coaching staff.
He brought Stoutland in. Foles. Didn't you bring Foles in also? Brought in Foles.
Foles was that Andy?
I thought Foles was
I thought Foles was Andy. Remember Andy pounded on the table, I like this kid out of Arizona.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, but he had the crazy year with the 27-2.
Right.
Yeah, but anyway. So yeah, but it is weird. He did a lot of good things, that's for sure. All right. This was our first week, man. This was our first week in the books.
52 more to go.
52 more to go and beyond. So I want to thank
everybody. Pull my hair out.
Exactly. I want to thank everybody, all our friends in the comments section. You guys are awesome. Everybody for streaming, for watching, for listening. We certainly appreciate it. Again, keep smashing that like button and we'll get exposure for more and more people. Tell a friend, let them know what's going on because we aren't going anywhere, man. It's going to be a fun ride. And next week's going to get wild because we have a draft next week. Sixers playoffs continue. We're in a great time of year for sure. And we appreciate all of you. And want to thank our producer, Xander. Excellent job. Gunner, great job this week, man.
I call him the ghost. I'm calling Xander the ghost. He refused to come out and answer questions.
He knows.
He
knows
ghost.
better. There he is.
Oh, there he is. Oh,
he
yeah,
knows
you
there's
show
10
up
seconds
now.
left in the show.
Hey, I'm getting set up for my boy Big Sills. I'm doing all these things. You guys are calling on me. Barrett wants his vodka.
That's right. D-Gun wants his microphone.
He doesn't have enough going on trying to produce this thing. He's got to worry about Barrett's booze and
all sorts of stuff. But I'll let you guys close out the show. But I want the stiff Gunner because I'm not a ghost.
There you go. Good job, Xander.
My man.
All right, Barrett, great job this week. We'll be back Monday at noon. Everybody have a safe and fun weekend, man. Gunner was a lot of fun this week. I am Rob Ellis. We are Sports Take. Tell a friend, JAKIB Media, YouTube Network.
Go for the midnight dares. Go for the game. Go for the hits. Go for the fans. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
All right, did you know I was the mommy slam dunk champion?
Really?
Yes, really don't sound so surprised.
Let's see it.
Oh, you're ready. All right, here we go. Let's hear the crowd. So go to right, I go to left, fake a mom. Mama go up, mama!
She did it.
Again?
You can't avoid gravity, but United Healthcare can help you avoid financial surprises by helping you compare costs and doctor quality ratings. United Healthcare.
Uh-huh.
On the field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
The following is a real testimonial from the father of a young injured victim.
I didn't think she was going to make it.
Major Perry's daughter was the victim of a horrific accident caused by someone else's negligence.
If you don't find the right counselor, law firm that you're looking for, you will get lost in the wilderness.
Badly injured? Call the Fritz and Bianculli Law Firm at 215-458-2222 and find out why they say, "We got this."
At Stateside Vodka, every new customer gets the world's best rocks glass, free.
You're telling me that bottle is cut in half?
You could say that.